I mean, the thing about Talkaoke is it's that very first conversation always seems to somehow, in a weird sideways way, dictate how the whole night goes, how the whole conversation goes. So let's get the names, first of all, of the first people around the table. So my name's Mikey, what's your name?
Rick.
Rick, welcome.
Akbal.
Alina. Naz.
Jed. Sit down and talk.
Jed.
So, as we always do when we start off Talkaoke, I just say, has anyone got anything they want to start the conversation with? Any thoughts, comments, observations, ideas?
Can we discuss
The Trump book, the new Trump book.
Trump book? What is the...
It's called
it like
Fear. It's written by the Woodward. Yeah. Woodward and Bernstein. Woodward wrote this book, and it kind of details how the people within the Trump White House have to manage Trump, and how they have to steal documents from his desk so he doesn't read them, and things like this. So it's quite an interesting.
So he does read things then?
No, he doesn't. But he asks, right, get me something so I can just start a war somewhere, and he'll. Yeah. So he can sign it off. Okay. So they show him the document and then sneakily take it away and put it somewhere else.
Right.
Well, that's interesting because that fits the description of what historically is classed as a really bad manager of a business. The talk over everybody, so people find their own way of dealing with him or her in the end by actually doing it their own way and just telling him what he wants to hear, but actually getting it done their own way regardless of what he says. Now that's fine, but that's bad management practice, to have a manager that bad with people. To have America ruled by that type of mentality and that type of guy is quite a terrifying thought. I mean, it's okay for a business, the business can just go bust. But when the most powerful country in the world is run by that same rationale of the people who've got brains actually ignoring what the boss is saying because they know he's a bit of an idiot and doing it their own way anyway, it's actually quite scary.
Jed, are you scared? Are you scared about Trump and what he might do?
My hope with Trump is that the setup, he's the top of the pyramid, the setup of the rest of the pyramid is run by enough sensible people to stop him. But I don't know enough about the White House. I don't know how much power he's actually got, how much has to go through the Senate, things like that. I don't know that much. If it was just him on his own, yes. Yeah.
So you know, okay, well, I just want to go around the table now. So are you scared?
I'm not scared for us necessarily. I'm scared what his impact would do to America and their relationships with other countries, and you know, everyone's just going to turn around. Not just America itself, but the whole world would turn against it. They're already rebelling against it, really.
Are you scared?
Yeah.
Yeah? What are you scared of?
What he might do to England.
Yeah.
England.
What do you do to England?
Well, from the past of what I've heard of him,
Yeah.
he's very bad.
Okay.
What I know. Whatever that means. Yeah. So, like, yeah.
Okay, so it's a general fear. Are you scared?
I don't think I am.
No?
I think he's him and his party are terrible for Americans. But what that means is the rest of the world should hopefully benefit from their demise.
So you think in a way it's better for the rest of the world?
I think so, because you know what will happen is in the States, poverty will increase, and that's essentially what the Republican Party want, and it means that there's very, very few people with wealth within the States.
But why is that good for the rest of the world?
Because ultimately the country becomes a much poorer state, so we can then have our, you know, at the moment we all have all of our bits and pieces manufactured in China because it's cheap, and now soon Africa will be the state where we build everything because it's, you know, the area is going to be cheap, and then hopefully if they have their way, we'll have lots of really cheap labour in the States.
Okay, so it's good.
Essentially slave labour.
Cheap Work, cheap labour. That's why it's good.
Isn't that going to kind of happen here after we leave the EU? Is that going to be the same thing? With
No,
cheap
but
labour?
then only for the people that are not so well off.
Yeah,
So,
okay, well, yeah. Which,
yeah.
Okay. All right. So is America going downhill good for the rest of the world? Are we scared? Are you scared of Donald Trump? Do you feel fear?
Reminds me of my grandpa.
Really?
So yeah, terrified.
Okay. What are you
Yeah.
scared of?
Maybe that hair. Yeah.
Well, when we did Talkaoke at the Deer Show Festival in the north of England, most people, it was mostly children, and a lot of them were scared of the hair. Interestingly enough, yeah. But I mean, where do we want to go with this? Do we want to talk about this idea that Atbal said that actually it's good if America falls apart? It's better for us.
Not being funny, everyone wants to destroy America, and it's best that they're destroying themselves instead of anyone going there. Yeah, it's happened anyway. They're destroying themselves.
So
So
in a way, it's kind of better.
nobody had to get hurt.
It's a bit like,
Yeah.
It's a bit like when you've got that kind of annoying flatmate, and then they decide to leave the house anyway, and
then you're like,
no one has to tell them to leave. Yeah. Or like when my brother got oh, this is online. Okay. I went. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be supplying facts anyway. Right. So it's what we're basically talking about. It started off with Trump. Atbal's thrown the Trump card in first round, and he's kind of, there's a book called Fear. But what I wanted to know is, do people feel fear? I don't really think there's a strong sense of fear, apart from maybe about the hair. But there's not a strong sense of fear about Donald Trump in the UK. There's more of outrage or disgust, but not fear. I don't know, let's just maybe get some names, do a quick round of names, and we've got a fully round table, so...
Lorna.
Alex. Bob.
Akbal.
Helena.
Naz.
Jed.
And we've got Rick, where's Rick gone? Rick was on camera, now I don't know, so, in the loo. So yeah, I'm just going around the table asking people if they feel fear. Do you feel fear?
Fear about Trump.
Yeah.
I'm not really afraid of him. I think generally, like most presidents, he's not going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
I think if anything, in some ways, he might shake things up. It could be for the better, but obviously, he's not a brilliant spokesperson for America or for the world.
And what about this idea? Do you think it's good for the rest of the world if America kind of disintegrates?
No, probably not. Considering the power that they've got, it's probably not so great. But maybe it'd be great for South Korea and North Korea if they really did sort of get back together again, which is what he was trying to do, right?
Okay.
Maybe then less nuclear arms or whatever.
Hang on, let me just... Alex, just quickly the fear question.
I don't feel any fear. If anything, I somewhat feel invincible away from America.
Okay, so...
I don't know whether that's a kind of blissful ignorance, but I feel like I'm not being attacked by him.
Yeah.
It's very much closer to home in America.
Kind of self-
The damage, yeah.
Hello, come in. What, do you fear Donald Trump? Oh, you must have.
So I think that all empires have a point at which they decline.
Yeah.
And it's my feeling that the American empire, hegemony, whatever you want to call it, has come to its natural end, or it's coming to its, and it will always end in a kind of in bloodshed, to be honest. Hopefully it's all restricted to the United States.
So
But-
you think there will be some kind of civil war or something like that?
No, I don't think there'll be a civil war, but there will be a situation where they will try and kind of assert their strength by starting a war or building this or that and trying to create or recreate their, glory days. And I think they will fail. No, they haven't won a single war apart from the Second World War. So they've barely been able to kind of fight, some ragtag groups in Afghanistan. It's not a organised structure. It's very powerful, but it's not organised enough to be able to cope with warfare or in any sense.
I think I'm interested in what your view is here, the parallels you're seeing about empires falling. I mean, empires fall in the past by decadence, famously decadence and arrogance, and thinking the godlike, the beyond any reproach, the beyond anyone being able to pull them down. They're above that. And Trump's got all of those ideas. But I mean, do you think the parallels are? I mean, the Roman Empire, with like Caligula making his horse a senator and things like that, because they were all going insane. That was a true decadence.
Yeah.
And
is Trump a little bit like Caligula in that sense?
well, I think if you look at various historic personages,
Yeah.
Caligula's like Nero. It's funny, 2,000 years ago. Yeah, I can't think of many in the 2,000 years between. Like, then there's Trump. He's another one at the end. But there's obviously been quite a lot of them throughout history. But yeah, he's following a lot of those that path, that broken yellow brick road to God knows what. But he is decadent and he is arrogant. And but whether his court is like all the ancient Rome, everyone there was. But I mean, whether everyone around him is, I've still got trust that he has, even though the Republicans, right wingers, there's still a lot of sensible people there who might be able to rein him in.
Right. Okay. So he's kind of like a.
The thing is, if you want to kind of create an analogy, you have oligarchs within the US that do things that are detrimental.
What do you mean oligarch?
So incredibly wealthy individuals that control large areas, large industries, and so on. And they do things that are visibly detrimental to the people in their country. And they must know this. They're not. I mean, they're well off, but they're not stupid, and they don't care.
Isn't it the same in any country that you've got powerful people that are bad to the rest of the population?
I don't think it's the same in every country. I think that there are incredibly wealthy people in India, in China, and all over the world that realise that unless they've got a populace that becomes wealthy, they don't maintain their wealth.
Right.
Because the way that money flows around the world is you have to consume things. If nobody has the money to consume anything, they don't have the money then to provide wealth to those rich people.
Right, so the richer everyone gets, the richer the richest get, if that makes sense. So let's all buy some more beers.
Well, pass that. Well, that's the cliche about the rising tide raises all boats, but it doesn't really, because some boats are much bigger than others anyway, so they're just going to get much higher, even though everything's getting raised. But yeah, it doesn't. I mean, I was going to think of something 30 seconds ago, and I've completely forgotten.
Okay, well, we're talking about the oligarchs, the powerful people. Have they got the country's interests at hand? That was Akbal's point.
Yeah.
Then what were we talking about before then? We're talking about, I guess, this sense of like history. Is it history repeating itself? Have you remembered what you're going to say?
Just
now?
a little bit. Yeah, I was just thinking that that ideology. It's when you put ideology in front of humanity. You follow bloody mindedly your ideology to the exclusion of common sense, that other people are getting made poor, are being downtrodden because of it, because you just follow the ideology. I don't know how to follow that statement. I'm just making that observation. And obviously Trump's like that, and a lot of people through history have always been like that as well. But the fact is, you've got to end up looking at humanity over ideology. You've got to admit that there might be a flaw in what you believe in.
Okay. I mean, what do people think about this? Is it possible for us all to be rich? Is it always going to be like a relative thing?
I'm not talking about being rich, but he was unanimously voted. He had a majority vote, and he won. Are you suggesting that the majority of the American population aren't following common sense?
At the moment, I think, going back to the problem with the question of fear there, I don't fear Trump, but I fear the fact that 100 million Americans follow him. That's what I'm scared of. Now, they can't affect us because they can't start a war, but because Trump's a bit of a pantomime character, but they can if they had his team and they start making enough noise. That's the sort of thing I fear. So what it's made me realise is, for the first time in my life, because I remember Reagan being president, but I can't remember how he got president, how much that American ideology is so strong in America, so entrenched with 100 million people. And the ideology of America, which is a long story.
Okay.
Sorry, I had a question there, Alex,
Yeah.
for you. Is it not true that it wasn't a majority vote, and in fact it was just certain states had more votes for him as opposed to the majority which voted against him?
Okay. Did he actually get a majority that, in terms of the real numbers of people?
I don't know, but he won the voting
He
system.
won. He won. We know that he won. Whether it was how the numbers stacked up, that's for someone to look up on their phone, on Wikipedia.
He won the Electoral College, so he won the majority of states, but not the majority of the votes, because in some states like California and New York, so have very, very large populations, then they voted against him.
So the kind of busier states went against him.
And the Electoral College is formed in such a way that it gives the southern states a little bit more power than the northern states.
Right. Okay.
So that it was kind of a sop to the southern states after the Civil War. They
The Electoral College, so it's like post-Civil War. I didn't know anything about it. I've just heard its name. I didn't know anything about it.
Okay. So where do we want to go with this conversation? Do we want to talk about the fear, this thing about the wealth? Do we need to? Is it this thing where if we all can all get richer, should we all be the same, equally poor or equally rich? Do we want to talk about the American political system? Is it a fair system, or is any system a fair system when it comes to choosing a leader?
I think it's
Yeah.
straight away, just off the top of my head, I think there's been, with the death of John McCain 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
a lot of people are saying that he's a decent, I've got some people on Facebook who are staunch socialist, Corbynite, Northeast Labour supporters saying, R.I.P. John McCain, he was a good man. He didn't believe in what we believe, he was our enemy, but he was a good man. He stood up and he said his mind, and he was honest and truthful. And now the parallel between him and Trump, it's even that. People are so desperate now to pillory Trump in every way because he's become beyond a politician. He's become a caricature. Yeah. And and the way people have talked about McCain in the last 2 weeks has been like, this is what it should be like on the right wing. This is sort of what it should be like. We should have, at least he's a decent guy who plays the game instead of this maverick. But yeah.
I'm interested in the idea, though, that Trump in some way does represent the American dream, or rather, maybe the contemporary American dream, in the sense that he fulfills everything that America needs. Like he's pro guns, he's anti-immigration. He loves, his everyday meal is like is it a McDonald's cheeseburger and like a dry steak or something?
So like he's like a psychic projection of what America kind of desires.
Exactly, and a lot of people have issues with America about about having guns and things like that. But I've always thought that if you're a part of America, you sort of signed up for that. It's like the Wild West.
Yeah.
And so in a way, Trump is sort of the perfect spokesperson for the old American. In a way, I think that's kind of what you were saying before, right?
Yeah. Hang on a second, we've got a new face. Let's say, what's your name?
Victoria.
Victoria, welcome. At the moment, we're talking about Donald Trump, and we're talking about, what does it mean for the world? Does it mean anything, or is it just an American thing? Is it about, there's this idea about, it's about America spiraling into itself, so that's a bit about that, there's a bit about politics, and that's where we are, really. So, yep.
I mean, Trump is a projection of America in that it is brash. It feels like it's very powerful, wants to be very powerful, and he projects that in a lot of people's minds. He's this kind of super successful, even though he probably isn't, but this is the image that he's portrayed. Super successful individual, made lots of money, owns lots of properties. Problem is, nobody really digs beneath the surface, and most of those Trump buildings are not owned by him. In fact, I don't think, other than the one, he owns any building with Trump's name on it.
Right.
Golf courses, he owns a few, but golf courses don't make any money.
Right.
And I've never met anybody that has owned a golf course that has made money. They've done it because they want.
Have you met people that own golf courses?
Yeah, and they've done it because they play golf and they want to show off. They've got more than enough money to be able to say, I've got a golf course, And it's a bit like buying a football club or something like that. It's just a show-off thing.
Yeah, I mean, what do people think about? I mean, is Trump? What is is the definition of success? Because I guess he's the president of the United States, but is it?
He's had to be so he can he can portray that to the people and get the votes. To be honest, no one's gonna pick someone they don't like. He identifies with them because he eats McDonald's. He's a regular person. He makes it look like, but I've got power still. Yeah. So he tries to get on the level of the people still to kind of blend in. So they would vote for him. He's an all right guy, you know what I'm saying? So like, I think that was his thing, or what he was kind of made to do to become president.
So in a way, he's kind of like, it doesn't really matter if there's contradictions there. He kind of appeals.
He's perfect for that. I think Trump. I think there are two types of American leader. There's America's been an entity for 230, 240 years. The first, after the Revolutionary War, there was the Manifest Destiny. There was that type of Trump. There was the cowboy. I'll do anything. I've got guns. We march to California and we shoot everything in our way. And we're American and we go. Then since about 1900, America started ruling the world. And then you get the other type of American leader, which is instead of that type of pro-American, he's got to be a world leader. And then you get the characters like Kennedy and Obama and people like that, who are a different type of leader. Now that first type of leader, the American, for the first 130 years, the cowboy American, Trump is perfect for that. You can imagine him as General Custer. I can imagine him as General Lee or anyone like that. And that's why that half of America who still want that dream, vote for him. But then there's the world wants the other type of American. He wants the Kennedy, he wants the Obama, the statesman. And Trump has zero of any of that. So he's a bit of a dinosaur on the world stage, but he's very relevant to the Americans. Yeah, so...
But he is only the American president. The people of America aren't voting for a world figure, a world icon.
I mean, are we talking, as we're not in America, are we talking about Trump too much? Have we got obsessed by it, even though he's not our president? It's not. I mean, it comes up on Talkaoke quite a lot.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, Victoria.
I recently got obsessed with Vladimir Putin, and because I discovered this YouTube channel where the opponent of Vladimir Putin, the one who was opponent in like their latest election, he basically does like documentaries where he films on a drone property that a lot of people in government own, and it's like blows your mind to see that property because it's just some crazy castles, like big, everything's huge, and I'm like, this is only can happen in Russia. Well, I mean, I'm joking, but then he like compares like properties to the kind of properties like people in government own in Russia to the kind of properties people own, let's say like John Kennedy's property, like the kind of house he had, and this is really funny. But
so you're saying that Putin's living it much larger than the American president?
And then on the other hand, no, in terms of like whether he portrays what people want or anything like that. I mean, maybe it portrays that people are like used to the fact that everything is decided for them in Russia, maybe, because they're just so used to. For example, I was watching like one interview of one Russian director, and they were shooting somewhere like in the middle of nowhere, in like a really small town in Russia, and they put up the ad that, you know, if you come, basically we need to remove potatoes from the field because we're going to be filming on the field, and if you come and, you know, remove them, we're going to pay you this amount of money, or just find money for where they were. And nobody came because people were like, oh, they would come one day, like, this is too much work for one day on the set, like helping out. They also like offered them to work on the film, like to be a runner. And people from the village, they would come to work one day, and they would be like, this is too much, I can't work like this. And they would like be like changing all the time. So this director was really shocked by the fact that people just don't want to do anything, like you know, they're just too used to this idea that everything just happens, that they are not.
So they're kind of passive.
They're passive, you know.
Okay.
So because
I just wanted to say on the topic of sort of politicians sort of owning large properties or castles or whatever, whether or not really, does it actually matter how wealthy or how rich or how famous somebody is if they sort of pull their weight on a political level? Like, I remember Russell Brand, when he first really got into doing a lot of the politics stuff, people had a lot of problems with him because they're, oh, this rich guy, and he's a movie star, and he's got all this cash, he's got all these properties, and like, as if he couldn't be a man of the people because he was wealthy, as if he should just sort of suddenly Robin Hood it and just give all of his cash away.
Right. So, I mean, Russell Brand, how does he fit into the sort of Trump-Putin?
Well, I'm sure he's not too much of a fan of Donald Trump.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, okay.
Because the interesting point is that, for example, when in Russia, when you start working for the government, you sign off all the property that you own. And the point is that they actually, in those documentaries that I was watching, there's like a bureau that, it's like a bureau, they investigate corruption. Corruption? No, not corruption. You know when you give money to someone.
Sounds like corruption to me.
So they investigate corruption.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, this house is worth this much and this land is worth this much. They're not owning this much. This is not their salary. Realistically, it's like they have they own property that's like way high. Like basically, the question becomes like, where do they get money from? By working in the government. That's
So
the
what
point.
does the bureau that investigates them say?
No, the point is that obviously the money comes from the government, but they basically steal. It's like it's clear as day that they steal money because you can really there are like documents or paperwork you can find about how much people really own.
Yeah.
For example, there's like the head of pension. And he owns like, I don't know, let's say 12 million rubles a year or something, 10. But then the property that he owns is worth 100 million, so that's like doesn't match. So that's why it becomes interesting.
Okay.
So I mean, with a film star, it's a different story,
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of corruption going on in Russia. Is that happening in America? In a way, is America kind of better off with just a slightly brash, outlandish president compared to Vladimir Putin?
If it works for them, it works for them.
Yeah.
We're here, so it really doesn't bother me that much because they're trying for the good of their country.
Right. So,
Just like we would do for ours.
Donald Trump as well, that it's kind of their thing. We shouldn't really be.
We shouldn't really be that involved unless it's a threat to us. Then obviously, but it's really not.
You don't think it's okay?
Yeah.
I mean, should we be chatting more about our own country and what's going on? Have we got the same problems in the UK? Are we kind of?
Well, we're linked to, aren't we?
Are we?
I mean, the classic global explanation for the recession 10 years ago was subprime market in America. And that was because the global economics were linked, all the banks were linked together. So the biggest market of benefit in America failed.
Yeah.
And everything else fell down around the world, so we can't separate it. On this level, we're separate countries. When it comes to global economics, we're all linked, and America is in charge of that.
Okay, so we can't separate ourselves.
Then Amazon was the second company to get profits of 1 trillion or something. Was it? Well, be worth 1 trillion. Sorry.
Yeah.
And the tax they paid was less this year than.
So the companies are kind of bigger than the countries.
But Amazon is obviously a US company, so.
Okay, so it does matter.
But what we got paid in tax was what we got back in, taxing them was less than their profit. So.
Okay, so in a way, it does matter what's going on in the. I mean, what do people think? Let's have just a show of hands. Do people think it matters what happens in America or Russia? Should we just let them get on with it and choose whoever they want to choose? Because obviously they clearly wanted Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. We should respect their decision, or is it something to be concerned about? Does it affect us?
Was there anyone who was competing against Putin? Was there anyone nice?
Was it a nice?
I'm not that's the thing. I only started really following what's going on there in the last month. But there was one guy, at least. There are a few people. One of them was the guy who actually runs this bureau of investigation, of corruption investigation, and. Yeah, basically, and he has quite a lot of power there, but he keeps getting in jail all the time.
Right.
Literally. So, for example, on 9th of September, they're gonna have this. They're gonna bring a new law about the fact that they want to extend. Age when you go to pension. When you go to retirement. Yeah, pension age. They want to extend it. and it's gonna happen on 9th of September. So like 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after, he's gonna be in jail.
Right.
Because for like, you know, no reason literally. And
Okay,
he's
so-
been in jail for like about, I think over last year, he happened to get in jail for like, if you put it all together, it's like 2 months or something.
Okay, so whenever there's a crucial vote, he gets thrown.
They did argue when he was in prison, awaiting trial, that he shouldn't be on the ballot because he's awaiting trial and he's a convicted felon.
Okay. What's his name, first of all? Does anyone remember his
What's he
name?
convicted for? What's he convicted for?
I don't even know. It's not,
Yeah.
it's nothing like, it's not.
It's trumped up charges. The charges have been trumped up, I think. Yeah.
It works in a way that like if you have something, you know, you can just put him to wait there. Like it's very.
So it's kind of like parked in. It's a bit like in Monopoly, where you just get out for a couple of turns. Yeah. So I mean, what do we people? I feel like around the table, there's just a kind of resignation that this is basically how politics works these days, and everyone just seems to be. You're nodding on this side. You're nodding on this side.
No, for the worst.
What's that?
I think it's for the worst. Politics should be done by statespeople, statesmen, stateswomen. It shouldn't be done by businessmen. I mean, business makes a country rich, but its politics is more important than that. That's just a knee-jerk reaction from me. That's what I think. There should be this type of person who's a statesman who exists in the world like that today. I don't know. Perhaps it's an idealism, but that's what politics should be run by.
But I mean, it seems like that's not how politics is going anywhere in the world. I don't know. The people.
The problem with democracies is that you allow ordinary people to vote. And when you allow ordinary people to vote, they have their own priorities and they think perhaps that man's a successful businessman. He will know how to keep our economy going and understand it all because he's
So what are you saying? Are you saying that ordinary people should not be allowed?
Perhaps.
Okay.
I mean, Singapore has a very good, well-run government, and it's a dictatorship.
People don't get allowed to vote.
Well, they get to vote for their local people, but essentially it's a dictatorship.
Okay, we've got a new face at the table.
Yes, my name's Gary. The mention of Singapore makes me think about the banning of chewing gum, which I have there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out for the new visitors, we have some chewing gum art on the pavement outside there. So there's a whole load of them. There's about 14 of them on the street. So
that wouldn't be possible in Singapore.
No, you get arrested in Singapore for doing art on chewing gum. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, do you think people should A, be allowed to vote and B, be allowed to chew gum?
At the same time, yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's crazy shit.
I just want to say that I think people should be allowed to dig their own grave as well. People should be allowed to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
As opposed to only some people, yeah, exactly, all the time. But
can you think of a time when people have made the wrong decision?
Well, I've made the wrong decision.
Electorally or?
I mean, I don't know, maybe the Iraq War, for instance.
Yeah.
I mean, that seemed like a bad call in terms of the lives that we lost and the damage that was done.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Popular vote. No, I mean, that was, they had the million.
But we did put Tony Blair in power.
Okay. Okay. I mean, is it like that thing? I mean, in the art world, people often say, fail better. Is that what we're doing with democracy? We're kind of feeling our way through here and maybe making the wrong decisions with catastrophic effects, but at least we're learning. We're kind of, we're learning how to vote better. Is that what's going on?
But also, like, for instance, when we elect Trump, we don't know every decision he's going to make or whether or not he's going to decide to go into one place or another. But we vote for him, or we don't vote for him, the Americans vote for him, under the assumption that they will make decisions that they will be happy with, even if that doesn't turn out to be the case. And it's the gamble that they make that, I mean, they deserve to be able to gamble. Is what I'm saying.
You think so? It's a kind of gamble. You can get it wrong. You don't know. It's like hiring anybody, I suppose. You don't really know what they're going to be. Yeah.
I think what you were talking about, this idea that certain people get to vote and other people maybe shouldn't. I think we might discredit people's instincts, and perhaps someone going, he's a good businessman, he could be a good leader, is enough to get his vote. Or her vote, because
so where do you stand on it?
Maybe we can read too much and know too much and kind of confuse ourselves into having an opinion one way or the other. But perhaps voting on purely an instinctive level is actually far more human and far more real than a kind of reading all this stuff and confusing yourself with it.
And in the end, we just do what the Guardian tells us to do anyway. So some of us, not me, obviously.
I think people voted for Trump on an instinctive level. The people that I know that voted for Trump voted because they genuinely felt that their taxes would be reduced. They couldn't give a shit about anything else.
Okay.
I mean, that's the only instinct that a lot of Americans think. That's the only thing they think about. Is money.
Do you think people should be allowed to vote? Should there be some kind of like benchmark of like intelligence to vote, or is it like a thing that everyone just gets to do, just to participate in?
So I think it's good the way it is because you've got to be a certain age to vote.
Yeah.
But after that age, everyone's allowed to vote. Women, you know, women fought for years to vote.
Yeah.
You know, and then we got it, and to take that away, that would be like, you know. So like everyone, it's a good opportunity for everyone to vote, regardless of their status or, you know, what gender they are, and it's their opinion that counts.
Okay, so everyone should be allowed. Do you think everyone should be allowed to vote?
No, not really, because like me, I'm 12 and I don't know the full thing about the voting thing yet.
Yeah.
So like I won't know who to pick or like who's.
What age do you think you'll be ready to know?
Around about 16 and maybe over.
Yeah.
I think that's the right age, isn't it?
Okay.
18 or
16.
18 or 16. 16 or 18.
But then after that point, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
What if, for instance, there were to be sort of MPs you could elect that were for your age? So you had to make decisions about them as opposed to the sort of adult MPs or whatever.
You think there should be like a youth MP?
Surely you'd want to vote for that, right? It could be, I don't know, cheaper bus passes or like, I don't know, what do the young people want? Cheaper sweets?
I mean, what do young people want? Should there be like a youth politician?
Yeah, there should be, because at our school, St Paul's, we do school counsellors for each classroom, like for each form group. Yeah. And then they go to a group and then they discuss what we want for the things. But I think it should be more bigger. It should be like wider things that should actually go forward to the government itself. There should be more trips for the kids.
Yeah.
Because at secondary we don't go on many trips.
So you think you'd maybe learn more? Yeah. Okay. So maybe that's a good idea, Bob, to actually have a kind of youth politician that young people can vote for that's got actual power.
Exactly, it sounds to me like you know exactly what you want, and if there were two different people you could elect and one of them was going to do what you wanted, you'd be able to make that decision, and you deserve to make that decision.
But if they lied in the process.
I think that's, in a way, that's best bet. Exactly. It's great learning experience to get.
There's always a flaw in the thing. I mean, politicians are great until they lie. Democracy is great until the people you didn't want to get in. You know, it's always the same sort of thing. There's always the flaw. I mean, I have thought the same thing you said 5 minutes ago. We've all thought it, and I only think that when the party I voted for lose. Like, but when they win, I'm like, oh, fine, I love democracy. It's absolutely brilliant.
Okay.
So it's just.
So democracy is great when your party wins.
Well, that's what I'm saying in a nutshell. Yeah.
Okay. And when it doesn't go your way, it's not so good.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, could democracy be improved? Do people think?
I think, on the whole, at least in this country, there's not that much between the parties. Yeah. There really isn't. I think that there's and I guess it's the same in the States as well to some degree. But we have a Conservative Party that does stuff that you would normally associate with, you know, the Labour Party, and the Labour Party does stuff that you might normally associate with the Conservative Party, and you know, you can pick and choose. I mean, if you want to say, I mean, I always have this issue with Conservative candidates that don't really know how to appeal to young people, or don't really understand how can a Conservative Party say, right, well, this is what we have done in the past. The problem is that they've done lots of stuff that is really progressive, but if they tell their membership that they've done these things, they really hate it.
Right.
So you know, if decriminalising homosexuality, gay marriage, all of these things. They are things that the base of the Conservative Party don't really like, but it is stuff that the Conservative Party did.
Right.
Not stuff that the Labour Party
Okay,
did.
so in a way, it's kind of what you're saying is kind of like branding, really, isn't it? That you kind of have to appeal to your brand base in a way, even though you just get on and do other stuff. It's a bit like maybe like you were saying at the beginning with Donald Trump, kind of appealing to the brand, the cowboy brand, but actually the American administration gets on and does what it does. And everyone, well, not everyone's happy. Most people are not happy, but some people are happy, I suppose, just to misquote Abraham Lincoln.
More often than not, you only get two choices, two kind of credible choices.
Yeah.
One of which might appeal to an older audience, and one which might appeal to a younger audience.
Yeah.
That's a kind of natural tactics of politics where they have to split off into kind of target voters.
So it's always got to be like a kind of binary thing in a way.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, imagine a political system where there were like 7 voting parties. Perhaps far more, I don't know, like younger people and your age would have less significance.
A kind of non-binary voting system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
An awful lot of countries do have less binary systems than we do in this country.
Could we go a bit less binary with it when it comes to politics? Would it improve anything?
Well, historically, I think just for the political environment here, we need a bit of a more strong central ground than we've got at the moment, just because that's where discussion can take place. Just generally, America goes without that. It has left and right, but I think it's been to our benefit for 200 years that we've got, 100 years that we've had the the thing in the middle, then Labour and Tory,
the yellow
and now that seems the yellowy orangey things, about that colour actually, that's going through a drought at the moment. I think that at least needs to come back just for the cushion, so people can stop shouting at each other from left and right, and you can have something in the middle where at least we can try to talk.
So we need to be a bit more non-binary with it then, I suppose. Okay. Well, we're glad we sorted that out. Oh, well, yeah, I'd love one, so where are we going to go with this discussion? I don't know. I feel like we started off talking about Trump, which people were vaguely, sort of superficially angry about, but not that worried about. And then I just feel like, I don't know, I think
Trump's quite entertaining, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I love watching stuff on Trump. And I watch, yesterday some, official within the Trump regime wrote a letter saying that we're the resistance within the Trump movement, anonymous, and we're trying to limit his madness, basically, and that's quite interesting. It's just fun to watch this whole,
it's kind of
like it's a car crash, isn't it? And it's quite interesting to watch this.
As long as it doesn't go too serious. If not, it's the greatest comedy on TV at the moment. But as long as it doesn't go too serious,
I love watching it.
Okay. What do you think of Donald Trump?
He's a crazy man. He's a crazy man.
Yeah. I mean, is it kind of fun? Is it dangerous? Is it a bit of both?
It's a dangerous. I'm not saying it's a fun, but something's not right with him.
Yeah.
Who knows? Or he's just acting a bit silly.
I mean, it seems like everyone's kind of got the same. Oh, cheers. So everyone's got the same view about Donald Trump around the table. That he's kind of unhinged and crazy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter too much to us here in the UK. It's kind of contained within America.
Yeah, but it's only America. But when you say talk about Muslim people, he's not doing that. He's not doing that.
Yeah. So there's
I cannot go into America if I want to visit America. I've got family there.
Yeah. So that's had a direct effect on you.
Of course, yeah.
Because of the ban on...
he bring say Muslim people not allowed to die, not allowed to die. I cannot go. My kids can go, they got British passport, I got British passport, but I'm born Somalia.
Yeah.
And my passport's there, Somali British.
Right, so Somalians can't just turn up.
You cannot go there until they check you out and who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it does have an effect, it has a direct effect on people around the world. But still, I feel like the main thing is that he's kind of crazy, he's entertaining.
I just want to know, have people decided not to visit the States because of the regime? Because I have.
You've gone, no, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, I've got some business that I need to do out there, and
You're a bit put
purposely
off.
kind of just thinking, well, stick it, what's the point?
Okay.
I'd rather,
Protest, or is that the fear that we were talking about before?
feel comfortable with the idea of kind of acknowledging, putting money over there.
Okay, well, let's go around the table with this. America, is this a place you'd want to go?
Oh, I never felt that, no.
You never felt an interest to go America?
No, I mean, I went there, but I don't feel like, I'm not too excited. Like, I mean, this is great in many ways, but I never wanted to live there.
Yeah.
That's at least that.
You've never had an attraction to America. America, would you want to go to America?
Yeah, just because on like the Food Network channel.
Yeah.
Because on the channels you see a lot of stuff about it, you want to go and see it, and it's a really big place. But if Donald Trump was the wait. If Donald Trump was not the president, I would go, but right now I don't really like
Okay,
him.
so Trump is putting you off.
He scares me because I don't know what he's gonna do.
Okay, America?
Yeah, no. I mean, next year I've got a road trip there, and I'm going
so you are
to
going to
New
America.
Orleans.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? But recently, with all the Islamophobia as well, and they'll just look at my name, even though I'm a Buddhist.
Yeah.
They'll look at my name because it's an Islamic name.
Right.
They'll be like, and it's just the look at the airports what I can't handle, and you know the judginess before you even get there. They're not exactly judging an individual; they're judging the whole lot. Which kind of brands everyone crappy.
Yeah.
And we're all not like that. We all just want peace, really. It's just the limited few who are making it horrible for everyone, really. So,
Okay.
But yeah, America, I've lived there.
Yeah.
When I was younger. It's a nice place. I'm not going to say.
So it's a nice place
Yeah,
to
it's a
live.
nice place.
Yeah, okay. But
Yeah.
you're a little bit put off by Trump at the moment, and this potential hassle at the border because of superficial things like names.
I would go to the parts of America where I know there's people like me, like
Is there a special
New England, Portland, Oregon, San Francisco, cool creative places, full of really cool creative people, all that sort of stuff. But at the moment, I wouldn't want to go to Alabama or Tennessee or Texas or anywhere like that, which is different from England because I know there are a lot of places in England. I'm quite left wing, centre left, and there's a lot of really, really staunch rural Tory places, but I still love going to those in England. I'd go to the places that are really, really Tory because they're beautiful places.
Where? Can you give us an example?
Well, like Somerset and places like that, and the home counties and all that, Surrey places, are beautiful places, and I've got no qualms with that. But America, I wouldn't replicate that. I just wouldn't want to go to Tennessee,
So you'd go to
Alabama,
Surrey,
or
but
anywhere.
not Tennessee.
Quite.
Okay. Yeah. America? Would you go to America?
Yeah, I love to go to America because one of my cousins live there. And my kids always talk about to take them. But I'm going. It's not stop.
Are you put off by Trump, or you think it's just the legal side of it?
It's not put me on, but what he's saying now, I would say what it can be when I go into airport, I'm spending money on the ticket. When I go to America, they say she cannot come in. That thing is my man.
Yeah.
But it's not stop me.
Okay, so it's more just the practical side.
Yeah, you need to think about what's going. Yeah, he's saying it. Yeah.
Okay. America?
Yeah.
Will you go there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You wouldn't be put off by Trump and all of this shenanigans?
Nah, it's
No?
love.
Okay. America? Would you go there?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not put off at all by whoever the president is of there. And I don't know, perhaps just stories that I've been told, but whenever I tell anyone in England that I'm making a film, they say, how are you getting money from that? Who's paying you for that? No one is. And every story I've heard of anyone who's remotely creative in America, they don't ask who's paying you for that. They ask, what's it about?
Yeah. So you think there's a bit more of a positive attitude. And
I think there's an attitude that lends itself to creativity, and it falls into the American dream. This idea that you can turn yourself into something.
You can be whoever you want to be.
Yeah, and that's what excites me more and above and beyond a president.
Right.
Is there at the moment.
What I'd also say about America is I wouldn't be afraid at all of meeting someone who owned, like, you know, a huge amount of guns or something like that. Me and Alex actually met somebody in the UK, in Bognor Regis, who owns like 12 firearms, 12 shotguns. Yeah. And, you know, we were just like, brilliant, fantastic. Yeah, in this country,
Why?
Sorry, they're actual shotguns. In fact, I think he's converted them into medieval or post-medieval weapons as well.
Right.
I mean, it didn't scare me to be in his presence, and I believe he has the right to own those guns if he wants to.
So you think it's fine for people to have guns?
It's not. It's not necessarily the best idea in the greater scale of things, but I think that if the law, as it currently stands, allows them to have those kind of firearms, then fair enough.
Okay, fair enough. Guns, fair enough.
Have a permit for that or something? Yeah.
Okay. Rick, America?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I've got a few friends over there, so I'd love to visit. But I guess I would like to visit Canada more actually if I was going that kind of distance.
Why?
Just I don't know. Canada sounds quite. It doesn't matter about cold really.
Yeah.
It seems a more interesting place.
Okay.
To me anyway.
Is it because of the guns thing? Because there's less guns? Are you put off by Donald Trump?
Well, I don't like Donald Trump, but I'm not put off by visiting a country because of that.
Okay, so most people are not put off by Donald Trump and visiting America. They would do it. They don't see it as a reflection of America in a way. They see it as just.
I also think it's interesting what you said about how, like, now you would feel sort of strange entering certain areas of America, like the Deep South or whatever. Whereas it's always been that way. Like, it's not as if they've now changed their mind about certain things. There was always going to be a lot of racism in those places. There's going to be a lot of bigotry. It's going to be a little bit scary or less liberal than San Francisco or whatever. Nothing's really changed in that regard.
Yeah.
Very good point. I actually. I think I don't really know the answer to that. I think before Trump became a phenomenon, before he became elected, I think I still had the reservations with that area because I'd heard stories about what it's like and things like that. I think, has it been cranked up now since Trump came in? I don't know, actually. It might have always been there. I think it has been cranked up a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think they're now going to be more in your face about it because they've got the president on their side.
So be more confident.
Yeah, I think just it's gone up a little bit. Telling 2 or 3%, and that's enough now.
They're more confident about their racism and bigotry. I don't know if there's anyone watching this from Alabama or Tennessee. Do please message us and tell us what it's really like.
I'm going to go to the B word, but I've noticed that when it's happened in this country as well, that with Brexit happening, that that kind of level of hatred has kind of gone up a bit in this country.
So you
and people
think
have
Brexit has given people a bit of a license?
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. Well, I don't know if that's just the news reporting it in that way, but it just seems to have raised a bit here as well from since the vote referendum.
Have we had more of a license to I heard it definitely over there? You think you agree? Was that you?
No.
Oh, okay, who said that? Definitely. So someone said that. Yeah, I don't know.
I think I don't necessarily think from my experience. I mean, I'm white as hell. I'm incredibly pale. I haven't had any sort of or seen or witnessed any more bigotry than I ever saw before. But I'm sure within certain communities they may have. But I think the reality is that if people in this country vote for Brexit because they wanted tougher immigration laws, they shouldn't have thought that meant kicking out the people who already lived here or disrupting communities that pre-existed that are British citizens. So if there has been more racism as a result, then that goes to show that the people who made that vote were doing so for the wrong reasons.
Okay. Yeah.
Convinced it's racism because my girlfriend's German, and she has felt that there has been certain bigotry.
Well, after Brexit.
After Brexit, yeah, and she feels that it's more related to her accent than her colour. And German.
What colour is she?
She's white. She's white with brown hair. But she's felt that there's a certain degree more bigotry. I haven't really felt that, although somebody I know gave me probably the best argument I've heard for Brexit, which is based on racism essentially, but it's that he's a designer and works in London, and he's found that European, Italian, and so on designers have come into the business that he works for, and have seemed to have been progressed a little bit faster than him, and he feels that he voted to leave, and he voted to leave purely on the basis that British people are racists and they would rather have a white foreigner than a brown foreigner, and he's Indian.
Right.
Yeah,
So let's just get this right. So in a way, what he's saying is that actually people will prefer a European to like a British Indian person because they're the right colour in their eyes.
This is the only argument that I thought actually made a bit of sense.
Okay.
And probably to some degree true.
Yeah. Okay. And so we're talking about racism here. Is it a different? Is the colour racism different to the accent racism, or what do people think? We didn't get your name, by the way.
My name is Asha.
Yeah.
I'm the person who don't see color at all. I hang around more than white people. I hang around my own people.
Yeah.
But everybody, they knows where they come from and who they are. Everybody, they say that person. If you say to me now, you don't know my name,
yeah,
and I was a friend, and you say, somebody you tell me you don't know my name, and you say it's that Somali lady, yeah, it's not racist.
Yeah.
Now people, racist happen. I'm not saying the people not racist or it's not happening, but now it's everybody taking a.
You think people are a bit too sensitive about it?
Sensitive, and I'm thinking that they want to do it. Yeah. If I say to you, the white man.
Yeah.
I don't know your name. I'm not wrong. You are white. And if you say to me, well, that Somali a black woman is not Tingis.
The other day somebody described me as that person over there with the grey hair. I was like...
That would be very confusing in this current situation, wouldn't it? That's one thing I do agree with a lot of the core aspects of this whole Brexit, whatever argument. One of the things I always say is political correctness. I think political correctness has gone a bit too far. And I do agree with it. It has to be the common language of globalization. You can't walk up to someone in business who's from Singapore and then make an old colonial joke to them, or like Prince Philip or someone used to do all the time. You can't do anything like that. But I think it has gone a bit too far with the fact now you're not allowed to take the mick out of your friend, who you might be Indian and he might be white, and friendship is taking the mick out of someone for the differences, and you can say you're not allowed to say that to someone, and you feel guilty. But friendship should take over that. Trust should take over that.
Isn't that simply because if you don't know someone and you crack a joke, then they're like, "What the fuck, man?" Kind of thing.
I mean, is this the same thing as what Akbal's...
so all powerful now. It's become so permeating in every aspect that you feel guilty when you're actually with friends and they are talking about any difference.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's a difference, but I can't say it because it's not politically correct. I think that's if you can feel that in the back of your mind when you shouldn't, because as friends you should just be able to say what you want to people.
People are a bit too tense and stressed about it.
Strangers is different.
Yeah. I mean, but is this the same thing as what Akbal's talking about with this kind of like pervasive racism about skin colour, in terms of one thing making a joke, it's another thing about who gets the job, on what.
Equally, I've spoken to quite a few. I mean, my area voted Leave on the whole.
Yeah, what area
and
is that?
Gravesend, and it's I mean, look, quite a lot of people that voted Leave, and it's quite interesting to discuss things with them. And a lot of them will say, you know what, I don't mind the Indians. It's all the bloody Europeans, because I don't understand what they're saying. At least Indians are all speaking English, and it's kind of, I don't know. I think 20, 30, 40 years ago they weren't speaking English.
Yeah.
And it's I think the same arguments existed then.
Yeah.
And in all likelihood, 20, 30 years' time, all of those Bulgarian and Romanian kids are all good. They all speak English now, the kids.
Yeah.
It's only the adults that are speaking their own languages. And you know.
In what situations does this sort of language thing become a problem? I feel
The biggest thing that I hear, right, is, you know, you can't walk down the street and hear English. They're all speaking a foreign language, and I don't see an issue. I don't really give a shit what they're talking about, whether they're speaking in English or what.
Yeah.
In schools, the predominantly Asian community, the schools are actually doing classes for the parents to teach them English, so they can integrate more with the school and like get used. I don't know what it is, but I mean, my parents, they came over when they were really young. My dad was 12 years old. He started in Brick Lane, and he learned English and some Jamaican apparently with the accent. But he came over. He could speak perfectly. The only thing he couldn't do was read and write because he was never put to school here. That's the only thing that was holding him back.
I guess
really,
we're talking about racism. On the one hand, we got Jed saying, "Oh, we're too kind of tense. We're too worried about racism." And then you've got
when it personally hits someone, it is tense. When they're personally attacking you, you will get defensive. But generally, as a whole, like I think people have become a bit sensitive because of what's going on, and you know, the communities, and you know, they're fully not understanding everyone when they should really, because like you know, my kids are mixed, so they know both the Irish and Middlesbrough and everywhere around.
Is there racism towards people?
Borough.
Yeah.
And Pakistani and Chinese on my side, so it's like we're all mixed up, but we never cuss any different one of them. Her uncle's black, you know.
Yeah. I mean, what do people think? Is there a problem with racism in this country? Is it kind of perceived? Do people feel that they're...
I mean, not exactly to do with racism, but with the political correctness. It's kind of sometimes funny to the point when you have to cast a black model, and we're like, oh, are we like? And my colleagues are really sometimes struggle to they don't want to say black model. I'm like, it's just her, her skin color. Like, come on.
So people just don't want to say the word black.
Yeah, because on social media, for example, people can be very. For example, if company produces some product and they don't have some shades, you know, people are going to speak about it, and it all translates into people being conscious of the fact that they have to be inclusive. But also it comes but also
in Primark, and they didn't have my foundation, so like it was all just white, and I was like, how do I mix this? Really.
It also is like, in the same time, it becomes funny because people like, oh, can I say I want to cast a black model? Like, I'm like, yes, you can. Don't worry about that.
It becomes complicated because obviously oversensitivity is something that almost becomes a kind of racism onto itself, or we feel it is. If someone's like, not, oh, you know that guy we met the other night? Yeah, which guy? Oh, you know that guy, he's kind of tall, he's like, well, the black guy. You know, they can't say that actual, and stuff like that. It is a problem. But at the same time, that oversensitivity does come from the right place. It comes from not wishing to upset people, which is a good thing.
There's something when you go too much on the sensitivity, and everyone gets really tightly bound, and I've noticed you get a bit perverse. You everyone if you're really hyper aware and hypersensitive, and you don't want to step on anyone's toes or hurt anyone's feeling, then inside you sometimes have these really weird thoughts that are it's like all spills out some sort of weird I don't know.
Am I being too sensitive, and am I offending somebody from being too sensitive?
You can pent that up and then come out with it and in the wrong situation, and then it's like, oh damn, what did I say?
I think that's what's happened now in Britain. I think a lot of people have been pent up with political correctness for 3 decades, and with Brexit and generally now, and what Brexit has unleashed, to use an emotional word, they now think, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm just going to say, I'm sick of all this. And good people I mean, my brother is like that. My brother is a really nice guy, much cleverer than I am, older than I am. He voted Leave, and he doesn't want. I'm not going to say exactly things about what he's come out with.
Paraphrase it.
He likes England to be as it was 150 years ago. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like.
No, he's not. No, he's a very intelligent guy, but he's sort of reached the point where he's sick of political correctness, and he's just like, I can't be asked with this anymore. I just want to see it as I think it is.
Yeah.
I think.
Is political correctness a kind of barrier in a way to us being relaxed with each other and all our different origins and skin colours?
And maybe it makes you a little bit more out of touch with your just natural empathy and intuition. Because it's a lot of to do with your head and politics and it's up here. It's not to do with your heart and Because if you came from there, I'm just talking about what's right and I don't know the words you use, but like spirits and people.
Yeah, so
if you
in a
can
way,
feel that
it's kind
and
of
connect,
preventing this more direct kind of heartfelt connection
yeah,
between people.
that's what I
It's a barrier somehow, and that's the opposite of what you want it to be.
Yeah, because you cannot deny that people are different because they're from different places. They're gonna, I mean, it really affects people's personalities. The way they grow up and the languages they speak. Come on, and it's denying that. It's just so silly. I think a lot of times, the kind of sounds and the colors they see.
It's just, I think it's happened too quickly for a lot of people. What you were talking earlier about models. I mean, if you look at it I don't know who's the big brands around the world, Gap or Benetton or someone like that. Or you see a typical advert for those. It'll have 4 different types of people. There'll be 2 Caucasians, there'll be black, and there'll be sort of Asian Chinese. So they'll all be jaw-droppingly beautiful. And there are a lot of people I've met in Britain who see that and get really angry by that because they think that is that's the way the global corporate world is going, and the normal person just is not part of that at all. Yeah. That's it loading them or loading it over them.
Yeah.
Oh well, I can't speak for if a person in Africa sees it in the same way, or a person in China sees it in the same way.
Well,
but my experience in Britain,
I just see it as that's the token black person and that's the token Asian person that they just shoved in because they want to make it look diverse.
What about the fact that they're all impossibly beautiful?
That's off-putting because not being funny. We're all human beings. That's the 10% compared to all of us. And I will say I'm ugly, but I love it. I stand up for the ugly person. You know what I'm saying? You're not.
Actually, I don't remember where I heard it, but I really like the idea of being spoiled by beauty because really, I think it's important to understand that when you see someone who's really beautiful, his face and body, whatever, is really outstanding. I think it's kind of a rare thing in a way, but it's because you do recognize it when you see it in real life. You're like, wow, you get basically stunned. Yeah. Because that's what happens to me when I see model. I'm like, oh. Yeah. But that one, and not just. I'm just talking about physical appearance right now. I'm just talking about physical appearance. When you see someone who's physically really beautiful, you kind of usually you recognize it because it's quite I don't know. It's recognizable, but because of this advertisement, I feel like we're all a bit spoiled. We think it's kind of normal and everybody should look like this, but it's really not.
Yeah. Are we kind of, hang on a sec, let's bring in that balance. Are we being kind of desensitized to beauty? Because we see all of these models around and about the place.
I think the debate's kind of basically Benetton, Gap, all of these organisations are multinational organisations. They sell stuff to brown people, black people, whatever. Then and there's a simple reason why they have all these colours in their advertising. To sell more stuff to lots more people, and it's got nothing to do with political correctness.
But we've moved on now. Now we're talking
makes
about
financial sense.
We're talking about being overwhelmed by beauty, being spoilt by beauty. I'm spoilt by beauty when I look around me here and see all the beautiful people in this pub. I'm totally overwhelmed. I'm going to come to you in a second, Nat Bell.
It's like what you say, it's beauty, and now it's when somebody is skinny and beautiful, it's they putting a lot of the people down. It's a lot of the kids not feeling uncomfortable. They're not good enough. Like she say now, she's ugly. She's not ugly girl. She's a beautiful girl.
Yeah.
But
So do you think people are kind of feel themselves to be not beautiful enough because they see these beautiful models around?
yeah, that's why the teenager getting themselves getting arrested, getting that. What you talk about? This is beautiful. This is that. But what if you got your 2 hands and 2 legs and your organ working, and that should be enough?
Yeah.
Some people don't have that, but some people they push you in the magazine, in the internet, in this, in the TV, in the that.
Yeah.
But if you don't have confidence enough, you could go down with it.
Okay, so the bar's actually gone too high and it's making everyone feel bad.
That's what my point. What's worrying for me is the way the media portrays this beauty is making a lot of kids, young adults, feeling like they're not good enough. Which that's the rise in depression now.
Yeah.
The self-harm. You know, feeling that they're not worthy to be around. You know, other people. We always have in schools the A's and the B's and the C's and the total Z's.
Yeah.
You know.
So you're saying that in a way people are seeing.
There's the A class, there's the B class. We've always had it in school. No, the popular, the non-so popular. We always have that structure in school. Yeah. They're always like in little bits. There's never a time. I mean, it took me.
So what are you saying now is that people feel like they're a D now because they see all these.
I mean, come on, look at these programs, Love Island and whatnot, and you know, there's never a normal person on there.
Yeah.
You know, they're always so and so statistics. You know, they're always got to be a bit stupid. Always wearing skimpy outfits. They're not. They're kind of stylized to the one thing. There's not a normal person. I want to see someone who's maybe a plus size, or you know, who's not conforming to what they do something different.
Yeah.
You know, it's just all.
Are we being oppressed by beautiful people?
Yeah,
I think
that's exactly.
I'm not against beautiful people.
Yeah, we all like to see the beautiful.
I'd like to stick up for the people who are normal, everyday people, everyday things.
Are you saying that you want to see the Z class, as you call it? You want to see them sort of rise up into Love Island? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Okay, Bob, while you're on the mic, do you feel oppressed by beautiful people? Do you feel?
No, I don't feel oppressed by them. I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's a part of me that feels a little bit jealous of beautiful people every now and again, but I don't feel oppressed by them. I mean, I guess there must be it must be a double-edged sword. Of course, you sort of go around looking rather lovely, but at the same time, you get a lot more negative attention, a lot more sort of, what do they call it, catcalling, a lot of sort of more wolf whistling, you know. Must be problems. Well, no, not certainly not.
So we're talking about we're talking about beautiful people. Are you oppressed by beautiful people? Do they make you feel like, that's what we're talking about at the moment? Do they make you feel like you're not good enough? Is there a second? Is it?
No, sorry. I just want to say that it depends where you walk, because there are like videos on YouTube where. I think like ladies and also guys maybe like walk for like a few hours in different countries, and like if you're in Rio de Janeiro, like just women walking in like normal outfit, nothing outstanding, she'll be like called out so many times. It's like insane. But you know, if like no, she's just a normal woman. She's just normal, like nothing. I'm not saying she's not beautiful. I'm saying I'm not saying. What my point? She's just a woman that is not wearing anything in particular that like attracts too much revealing. You know, it's just
I don't necessarily think it's the clothes that makes them beautiful.
Like I don't know, just a normal-looking woman. Like she's pretty, but like I don't know. I'm not rating her like.
Well, let's go around the table. We're talking about the oppression of beauty here, and we started off sort of saying, oh, it's nice to see our beautiful beautiful people, but there's a kind of dark side to it, I suppose.
I was just I don't feel oppressed anymore at all, or maybe I just don't understand what the word means. But yesterday I found some writing I did when I was younger, like a teenager, and it made me so sad. Like I've totally forgotten all about it, but like I was straight back into that headspace, and I was writing about how I was feeling so depressed and anxious and this and that, and that I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it by getting skinnier and losing 16 pounds and doing this and having shiny hair and good teeth. And I was like, and that was growing up, well, like when I was a girl,
Where do you think that came?
everything,
Where did-
and that was from seeing it all over
Okay.
the place.
Okay, what was that question?
How did that make you feel? Like the older you looking into the younger you, and you know what you were feeling back then.
It just really broke my heart. Really did. So, and I do feel I'm privileged, like lucky enough to be a world away from there.
I mean,
But some of my
is
friends
that
still
just
haven't come out of it.
Is that
They're
just
still
a
there.
stage that young people go through, or is it down to media?
I don't think it's definitely not just young people. Like it was me
Yeah.
young, but like
Yeah.
It's really in it.
It's not even medium. Last couple of weeks I was going, something came out in my skin, I was going in the hospital. First time this Asian little girl, doctor saw me, she's just looking at me, she said, oh, you need to lose weight, you need to stop smoking.
Yeah.
And I say, and you come and see me, last year you having a heart problem. I say, I never come 20 years ago here. But diagnosis before you say to me, need.
This is the doctor.
It's a little girl, doctor,
right.
but I'm looking like, and now she put it.
Someone in the waiting room.
Now she put it in the letter to send me saying, oh, I see this woman. She's 53 years old lady. She's overweight.
Yeah.
She smoke.
So you
And I said to her, what is wrong with you? I was bigger than like this. And I say, are you putting that? She sent a letter to me and she put it in my file now.
Yeah.
When I finish my treatment, I want to say to her, Gerard, talk to me when you're 50 years old.
Okay, so it's the doctors kind of saying it as well.
I would probably defend that doctor a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there are disease processes that are much more common when you smoke. There are far more disease processes that are much more common when you're overweight. And the reason that your doctor advised you about this is that they don't want you to be diabetic or have lung cancer or any of these other things.
Yeah.
Maybe because they're thinking, well, I don't want to have to deal with you, but most likely that's just how we normally deal with people.
Okay. Yeah.
Listen, the doctor, they not find you until you die. When they die, they say you that's what the reason you die. They're not looking their job. What they're talking about overweight and smoking it. I know what you're saying is a good thing.
Yeah.
But before she looking my affair and what's my problem, she's saying to me, this thing is, they not even find you what is wrong until you die and they say, oh, you die for that. They're not even doing nothing.
Okay, so they're just having a go at your. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
You know, he said this is wrong, this is. You go there, the doctor said this is wrong, this is wrong. They doesn't know what they're not even looking at what is wrong with you.
Did you give the doctor any makeover advice in exchange?
No, I'll finish my.
Shoes don't match your.
I'm finishing my treatment. I don't want to miss out of my treatment.
Yeah.
When I finish her, I'll talk to her.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time they doesn't know what is wrong with you.
Yeah.
They're not even looking at it, they just take a computer and give you my skin worse than the cream the doctor give me because they don't diagnose 20 years ago what it was SARS. They never noticed it. They give me this cream, they give me this drink, make it worse.
Yeah.
They're not doing their jobs.
Okay, so
but they're just kind of some people need to lose weight. I'd be happy to smoking it. But you don't even look at me what is wrong with me until you just decide looking at me and say, ooh.
So in a way, it's a kind of easy diagnosis to make. Yeah.
Aisha, every time you walk in here, I say, "There's that beautiful woman again." Yeah. But always, yeah.
I mean, are we not appreciating our own beauty? Because I feel everyone around the table is beauty. But do we sort of subscribe in a way to this kind of media version?
This is reality. This is what every person around the world is like you. The trouble, as ugly and northern as me, you know. But I mean, it goes back to that idea that the Gab advert, why people feel really alienated about that. I understand that's the demographic that they're going for because they're a global corporation, but it's like this global uber beauty person. It's like a new class, and nobody can relate to it. And the corporations, because they've got to make every quarter more lucrative than the last quarter, have to play to that type of person. But it alienates the people around the world, because the normal person gets really pissed off when they see that sort of unrealistic idea of people.
I'm not convinced. Sorry.
I'll come to you.
Very good point, because I am working for a global company at the moment, and they
What
do
industry do you work in?
You don't want to say it?
Well, it's basically beauty industry.
Right.
So we're very related. And they're a global company, and they sell in different countries as well, mainly in US and UK, but also like in Germany and Italy. And they will never post. They will never use like images of black girls in Austria or Germany, because it's just not. It's not no point, because there's not enough people of that color there, or very little. Like, you know, it's. So, I mean, just maybe because, well, I think there are obviously reasons why people use different ethnics and different people of color in UK, because they're like, you know, especially in London, because you do get this variety. I mean, that's like quite reasonable for me in that
So
sense.
it's purely from a sales point of view.
Yeah, I mean, they just, you know, they obviously. But a lot of people, especially with social media, people will get feedback. Like, if you just have use straight white models, people are going to be like,
But not in Austria. It doesn't
not
matter.
well in Austria, because obviously it's a different kind of people. Like,
Hang on a sec, Bob. Let me just come to it. I'll come straight to you.
So, I don't think these companies are alienating the population, because they're still selling stuff.
Yeah.
And if they were alienating the customer base, they'd bloody quickly change the way they do things.
I mean, well, only if that actually stops them from, but maybe alienating them actually improves the sales.
Well, maybe you know, if you're producing something that's aspirational, then you know you need them to aspire to it. You don't want them to be satisfied with what they've got, because you want them to have something that you're making.
Okay, you want them to buy.
All I was going to say before is that I think, you know, I don't think it's an intelligence issue or anything, but I think that when you see a billboard with like Mickey Mouse on it or whatever, and then you see a billboard with Kate Moss, they're essentially the same. They're just characters in a fictional world. They're not real people. I mean, I never thought growing up when I saw a rock star or whatever. I mean, I suppose I'm probably a bit closer to a rock star now than I was when I was 8. But at the same time, I never thought, that's me, I'm right there, I'm that character, I can be that guy. I thought that's a kind of dream image, and this is real life. Because when you walk around, it's like you said, this is us right here. We're not all these dream images on billboards. So I never confused it.
So you think that's just a completely separate universe? Yeah.
Oh, no,
Well, I feel like I'm constantly overwhelmed by beauty when I kind of leave the house.
Yeah.
But when I look at a billboard, or when I look at Love Island or somewhere where someone's meant to be beautiful, it glosses over my eyes.
So that's not the beauty. It's the real life beauty.
When I'm in Tesco and I see a beautiful woman, who's like, I don't know, picking some fruit.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's mostly in the fruit aisle.
Mostly in the fruit aisle. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You agree with you,
But they're totally separate. They're totally. It's an accidental thing rather than a deliberate shove it down your throat.
Do you think beautiful people eat more fruit? Is that what's going on?
Actually, no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
They drink more Bovril.
Yeah. Overwhelmed by beauty in the fruit aisle?
not quite. Although I've had some overwhelming experiences there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Anyway, I had a bit of a confession. Like, I saw this, I think it was like an advertisement, some beauty advertisement, and they used like normal, beautiful people, but normal.
Yeah.
Just like me or anyone.
Yeah.
And it really pissed me off.
Really?
Which I didn't expect.
Yeah.
I thought that's where we want to all get to. We want to see that. But I was like, I don't want, maybe it's because I don't want all of that.
Is it kind of like what Bob's saying, this kind of separation and sort of fantasy?
I want it to stay like that, which I didn't. That like goes against everything I'd want.
Rationally it seems wrong, but emotionally
but I don't want to see a normal person up there. It could be me up there then. Like, why isn't it me up there? But it's still not me up there. I know that's not right, probably, but I just...
Dove adverts. because they do the natural women type
They
things.
still
Don't they?
Photoshop the.
Yeah.
They're still photoshopped up as well.
Yeah, probably.
But actually, it's a good movement now because people, especially in social media, they're just tired of like everything being too sleek and too perfect. And what really sells is just the stuff when you can see like real people. Well, I mean, it's double-edged sword because the bloggers are obviously paid. It's really crazy. Everybody does it mostly for money, but people react to like the content made by real people much more.
Is it not true that real people models are on websites that are called like freak models and weird things like that, or like weirdlookingmodels.com?
Ugly.
So I remember ugly, yeah.
Oh, she has a skin condition, and I think she's beautiful. And she's risen like really
What kind
high.
of skin condition?
It's a color pigmentation.
Right,
She's
yeah.
like she's got blotches, bit of white,
Yeah,
bit of
yeah.
She's amazing. She's so beautiful. And years back, you wouldn't have that. But I like the fact that it's now and it's current, and they're showing models who have that. It was also a lady who had acid thrown in her face as well. She's become really big. Yeah, and I think that's amazing because they're just normal people, and yeah.
Okay.
Why people just a happy word that God gave them?
Yeah.
It's not what you look like, it's your personality and your heart. That's what you needed it. If you're a good person and you got heart and you can walk and you can do, you using your brain. It's a people worse in your life. Don't have a brain or this or that.
How can you convey that?
Huh?
That was going to be my question. How can you convey, well, not necessarily on a billboard, but on Tinder, for example, or on Facebook, how can you convey that goodness of heart, that sharpness of mind when you meet, I don't know, when you...
I don't look at other people. If I see somebody beautiful, I say, oh, that person is a beautiful woman or man. It doesn't matter to me. But it's not who I am.
Right.
But we always chasing at something we don't have it there.
Okay.
And that's why you need to just be happy who you are.
I was just going to say, there's that saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I think that's every day, really. We shouldn't see the fact that, oh, they're on a billboard, oh, that person's ugly. It's just how you feel and how you look at that person, or you look at multiple people in, your kids, whatever. They're all beautiful in your eyes.
Yeah, so there's always going to be someone somewhere in the world that thinks you're beautiful. You just need to find them. Yeah.
I think that the human condition is to always aspire to something different, something else. And if it's a different kind of beauty or something that you aren't, you naturally will want to possess that or become that or whatever. Right. I just think that that's normal.
So we want to be something that we're not.
We're talking about a million different things here, because when we say beauty, are we talking about aesthetics, or are we talking about like the inner beauty of the soul? Because we're talking about two fucking definitely very different things. Because there are some very beautiful people who don't look aesthetically pleasing.
There's no connection at all between those.
Not necessarily, and I think we have confused it within this dialogue.
Okay.
Oh no, I had so many different things.
What were you going to say?
The first one or the fifth, like.
Okay, just one of them, whatever. The best one, the best thing.
Oh.
I'll come back to you.
Aren't we all meat bags, really? So it's really the soul. Yeah. It's the soul.
Meat bags really. With the soul.
Yeah, but it's the soul you're going for, not the outside. Yeah, we all fade, we all die. Like, it's what there's that saying. You can all. What is it? We use it at work, funnily enough, and I forgot it.
Okay, I'll come back to you in a minute. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that. The point about like what I like at the moment, at least, and basically what I experienced through my latest workplace, is that we are trying, like this company in particular, we're trying to be like inclusive and everything, but it's actually a struggle sometimes to find a person that is not necessarily that is like willing to be on camera and also knows how to act in front of the camera, because you can take maybe like any person from the street, but do they actually want to be on camera? That's another question, you know. And then can they actually like smile or whatever, just like do anything? Can they on camera, like, you know? But like, there's a skill, like, you know, can they actually relax from the camera? That's another story. So like, you know, you
can't naturally smile in a camera. If they know they're being filmed, they don't want to smile on the camera. You know,
Okay, so just to sum up what Victoria's saying, that some people, you know, you want to go diverse, but there's not necessarily the people. It's not natural for them, not used to being the subject of attention.
I suppose it all comes down to advertising and marketing. I suppose if you're selling an aspirational product, you will always get a beautiful person, because that implies a beautiful life. But if you're selling cat food, you can have an advert that's funny, that can have normal people who look like me falling over, and then the cat speaks to them and says, "Ha ha, human, ha ha, look how clever." They've always got a slightly effeminate male accent as well. Yeah, all that sort of stuff.
The cat's got to be beautiful.
You can have a good laugh at that, because it's not an aspirational thing. It's cat food. But if you're selling a lifestyle, you always have it's the grade, the beautiful people. A car, you'll never get a car advert with an average person driving it. It'll be a hunk, or it'll be a beautiful blonde going And the same with makeup, and the same with fashion, things like that. Those aspects of the world. But other things, more household things, it's more humorous and less aspirational.
No, the reason why you wouldn't have that car advert is that if you had, like, let's say, a plus-size model driving a car, that the actual plus-sized viewer would not think, "Wow, I want to be that girl and drive that car." They think, "Jesus Christ, that's not how I want to look."
I can let me just go.
Yeah, what the TV now they're showing is they bring a beautiful girl, beautiful boys. It's the show they're doing. I don't know the name. Island or something like that. But there should be.
Talking about Love Island?
Yeah. There should be but normal people and ugly people. They can do that show.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You bring this is skinny girl and this is skinny boy. Go all the muscle going on. What happened to the rest of the people? They want to find in love.
Yeah. Hang on a sec. I was just going to go to Victoria. What were you going to say?
I just do want to like repeat that point that there is this like huge change happening, definitely in at least beauty fashion, because like I said, YouTube is obviously really big now, and people are filming themselves all the time, and you know that content is very relatable. And people, for example, they search before they buy a lot of things. They search them on YouTube, and that's why a lot of marketing now is going through these like real people, and then it responds much better than like just sleek images. Because if you're a young company, if you're a young brand, and if you're just, I mean, depends of course what you do, but you can't avoid like doing marketing through bloggers, let's say, or the people that are more relatable, or that are not like retouching themselves on video, that sort of thing. So that's why it's kind of a good thing, I guess.
Maybe on YouTube, we talked about posters and television, but on YouTube, maybe the thing is different, and it's more about just ordinary people.
I was thinking the whole Love Island thing and these beautiful people. You're basically watching. I've actually never seen it, but the premise of it is that, you know, people get together and you're really watching it to see the disasters. You're not really watching it for the romantic, you know, bits. You want to see the car crash TV, and YouTube provides that. Because there are people on YouTube that video their lives, and they have no sense that I don't know. They just believe that their whole life should be open to open to the world. I watched this chap who sits. He's a British guy, but he's in Japan, and he's married this Japanese woman, and he just literally talks about every row they have, and then when they have a row, he'll go out onto the street, wander around, stay in a hotel, moaning about it, and then just responding to comments, and people are just calling him, "You're a fucking loser, you're a this, you're a that," you know, and that is such compelling fucking crap. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's so I mean, I'll watch it for 5 hours. This just live stream. It's on there. I'm not watching it really, but I'm listening to this idiot, complete moron, who I want to smack.
What do you get from that?
I don't know. It is car crash TV.
Yeah.
You know his life's going to shit, and you're really hoping it goes to shit really quickly before you go to bed.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it not worse when you actually look at a real person, not this kind of Love Island celebrity who's clearly, shielded behind thousands and millions of pounds, but you look at a real person on a YouTube channel who thinks this is what you have to do, and they're going literally storming out in the street, going, my marriage is a wreck. I'm in a hotel tonight, and you're still laughing. You're still watching. But that makes you worse than the people who watch Love Island.
Not everyone can do that. Not everyone can film themselves having that reaction. That's the thing. So someone has to have that kind of their accent,
kind of directness.
Yeah, exactly. Because not everyone can just film themselves being angry about something and be so compelling. So it's a skill, I think.
Completely natural.
Yeah.
And it's called Hiding in My Room or something like that. And I mean, I think that there's certain bits of it that I think he's positively scripted. But you're still looking at this, watching this thing, just for the disaster that's impending. You just want to watch, and it's the same as badger baiting, and the same as all of these things.
Okay, so we're watching somebody's life disintegrate, and that's it. Current contemporary entertainment.
But when you put your life on there, people can comment on your life. You know what I mean?
Do you think that's?
Don't put yourself in there.
Yeah.
Find a situation to sort out yourself, like the church of Karen. Want the people woman? Oh, who's the daddy? Who's that? The woman knows who she is sleeping, who she is not sleeping. Why you washing your laundry, dirty laundry in the public? And when somebody say to you something, why you don't like? You give that person the key to open your life.
I mean, people.
This guy makes money doing it, and you can see how much money he's making, because when he does these 10-hour live streams, 12-hour live streams, people are donating on YouTube money.
For what?
Just to keep him going. just to watch this disaster happening. You press the little dollar sign and you can contribute £1.
Really?
Bonfire. You're going to throw some paper in there.
Right.
You're going to keep it burning.
Wow.
And that's what people are doing.
Well, these are some new business models we should be considering, Rick.
Patron thing where people pay to keep people going on YouTube, basically.
Different to this. I can.
Okay, it's just like
Okay. All right. So we're talking about an English guy that's married a Japanese woman and has rows, and then I guess his car crash life gets.
The opposite can happen if you set it up and no one gives you any money and you're like.
Well, I think that might be what happened if we did this for Talkaoke.
What then? Well, we get depressed because no one actually.
We'd get like 7 people watching, and we'd get like £1.
Yes.
After about 3 hours. But anyway, maybe we should try it. Maybe it's an alternative business model. Just saying hi to those people on YouTube. Do comment.
That's the bloke.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he looks very young though, doesn't he?
No, he's like 30 something.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, because he's Japanese.
No, I think he's Malaysian or something.
Yeah.
But the skin's good because,
It's not that good. If you watch it in HD, it's not
Looks
It's better than his. I can tell you that now.
Okay, where we go? It seems like we're kind of a beauty session here tonight. Where do we want to go with this conversation? Do we want to talk about the future of entertainment? Do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about I don't know, where we're going as a.
I actually wanted people's opinion on the Satanic Church.
What Satanic Church?
It's not a cult, but it's like there was this thing that I saw on the internet that everyone is okay with the cross, But when it's the satanic cross, they get freaked out. But they're just following a religion themselves. So.
Okay, so there's the satanic. How do people feel about the satanic church?
Yeah.
How do you feel that you think it should just be
I just think it's another religion, to be honest. Like, you know, everyone's free to practice. So I think that they're being, you know, put against because they believe in something.
Is it a religion, Satanism?
That's what?
Well, let's ask the person. But what do you feel about Satanism? Should people feel? Yeah. What do you think?
It's great.
You think it's great?
Okay. If you look at the Satanist church in America, they're kind of more a rational voice than the actual church, like the Christian church.
Okay, come and get involved in this. Come and have a seat on the table.
There's a rule that they go by that you're not allowed to go after someone without their permission. You know, and that's. I mean, cover your ears, babe. They're not allowed to touch. Molest or anything without that person's permission.
Right.
So wow, like, you know, that should be for everyone, but the Satanic Church is really big on it.
Okay. So they've got a kind of no molestation rule, always good for a church.
Specifically allows for that activity, so that's maybe why they don't.
What do you mean the Bible allows?
Oh, it allows for touching and for having multiple wives and for doing a million different things.
So it's written into the Bible.
Yeah, it's written into the Bible.
Okay, so at the moment we're talking about Satanism. Are Satanists getting a fair crack of the whip? Nat says no, that they're not.
Satanism has always been the opposite of Christianity. So I'm sure its morals, its mores, its way of behaviour is just Christianity, but the other side of it. And it's been there for thousands of years.
It's inverse Christianity in a way.
Well, yeah, it's inverse, but if it's gaining popularity, it's not going to be. It's also going to have the positivity of life.
I don't think that's exactly what Satanism is. I mean, I think there's some confusion about like Thelema, as in what Aleister Crowley sort of came up with, and what Satanism is.
Sorry, Bob, just slow down a little bit here. So
like with Thelema, there's a concept. It's a concept of. I think they worship some sort of female goddess, but the idea is do as thou wilt, and love is the law, which is their sort of main tenement, which isn't the opposite to Christianity. It's not like the exact opposite.
I think there's a love clause in Christianity.
Whereas Satanism, I think with Satanism it takes on similar functions, but I think Satanism generally presumes a non-belief in any god. So not even really in Satan. Satan's more of a kind of an idea as opposed to.
What I was talking about from there is as an atheist, I think that Satanism in its definition was traditionally defined by Christians. Satan was everything that Jesus wasn't and everything that God wasn't. So Satanism as a religion, as a self-conscious entity, obviously has gone beyond that and has found its own morals, its own moral code.
So it's kind of defined itself.
Historically, Christians just thought it was everything that it wasn't. And it's obviously taken on a new guise now that is, I think, a lot more probably acceptable and probably quite attractive to quite a few people.
So we've got a new face. At the moment we're talking about Satanism. Have you got any views on Satanism?
I was going to say that it's a lot more. I think Satanism now is more like a dedicated ritualistic version of Pastafarianism, where you believe that the flying spaghetti monster will arrive on a certain day. And I think that it's a lot more similar to that, but with the pagan element of having sort of ceremonies. But they're essentially atheists getting together to have a nice time and sort of go against traditional forms of monotheism.
So is it really atheists trying to wind up religious people?
I think certainly with that statue that was built in America, that's exactly what's going on.
Okay.
Basically, there was a giant statue. I can't remember where it was, but there's a giant statue of Baphomet, the goat-headed god, with two children cowering at his knees, sort of like praying to him, and it's caused a lot of problems in America. There's lots of Christians sort of protesting against it.
Okay, so is atheism just simply? Is Satanism just simply atheists wanting to wind up religious people, and have they got right to do it, to form their own kind of non-religion.
Yeah, but it stops it being a religion. If it's taking its definition by winding up other people, it's not really religion. If you're an atheist, you don't really care what monotheists think. You think, well, it's not for me. I don't believe in it. Why would you want to wind them up? It's a bit like it's a certain type of mentality that does that. But I mean, if you're a happy atheist, you just go, well, I don't believe in any of it anyway. You know, what's the point?
Hang on a second. There was a point.
No, I was saying, in theory, if you believe in Satan, then you believe in God, kind of thing. So
you don't think Satanists are atheists then?
Well, if you're a pure Satanist, then you obviously have to believe in, because you're an anti-God thing. So So
where do you stand on Satanism, Rick?
Well, if people want to believe in that, it's fine. I don't understand what.
Is it this point that Bob's made that it's a kind of wind-up for religious people? Do you think that?
I think some people may see it that way, and other people don't. But I do think some people believe in Satanism as a wind-up against. Christians, but I think there are actual
pure Satanists that just believe in Satan.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Hang on a second, it's going to come to.
No, for me it's quite. The interesting part about it is, I guess I don't really know much about Satanism, but it reminds me a little, from what you're saying, it reminds me about Scientology. And when I was watching films about Scientology and reading about it, and there's I also went to this museum in London.
Yeah.
For me, it's kind of fascinating to realize that there's so much information out there about it, and people are still joining and being part of that community. And I was why? But then I guess it's kind of leads towards the question of people wanting to be part of something. Where do people? How far people are willing to go in order just to feel that they're part of something?
To feel that they belong.
To have a sense of belonging. It's kind of crazy.
The Church of Satan, or whatever you would refer to as the sort of mainstream Satanism, is so much smaller than Scientology. It's not even on the same scale. It's so much more localized. They don't have public buildings. They have, although to be fair, in America, Satanism is registered as an actual religion, I believe. So they've got something, but it's not the same as Scientology.
So we've got some sort of vaguely interested people. We're talking about Satanism here. Should Satanism be accepted as a religion? Is it just atheists trying to wind up religious people? You don't like it? Okay. Why? Well, this is not a satanic sect, by the way. It's just a talk show. And Naz has just brought up Satanism, saying that they're not getting a fair crack of the whip, so to speak.
I actually, when I said about that, I think you're right. What we've all said here in the last 10 minutes, you need to believe in God to believe in Satan, because they're two sides of the same coin. But I actually think the true opposite of Christianity is paganism, because 1700 years ago, 1800 years ago, there was a choice, and the civilized Greco-Roman world had to split, and it ditched paganism in favor of Christianity.
Why do you think
and there was that fundamental opposition has always been there. Satanism is just this. I don't know much of this thing that's just appeared recently.
All right. Well, what about paganism? Because do people really understand paganism, what it is, and why did the Greeks and the Romans ditch paganism to become Christian?
There was a particular emperor, wasn't there, that decided, Constantine, who decided upon Christianity being something that was cool.
Yeah.
But it was a 10-second thing. He was fighting a battle called the Battle of Milvian Bridge, just north of Rome. And before the battle, he was worried. He looked up in the sky and he saw a cloud shaped like a cross.
Yeah.
And he said, right, if I win, Rome's going to be Christian. And that's how it happened. That's how it happened.
So he sort of did it on a whim, really.
We've all looked up in the sky and seen a cloud that shaped of a cross. But that changed the world.
Catholicism was born.
And that's how it became institutionalized.
One thing I would just say about the Satanists, though, that if it is similar to Thelema, is it do as thou wilt. I think there are a certain contingent of spiritual or people, religious people, who would like a philosophy or theology rather that says to them they can do whatever they want to do, that there's not a right or a wrong necessarily. And a lot of, most mainstream, especially monotheistic religions, they presume the idea that there's a sort of core morality that's associated with it, and that you have to repent for your sins. But I think Satanism is essentially saying, do what you want, give people so many chances, and that's it.
Okay, so in a way it's kind of a bit more refreshing than the idea that it's kind of set beforehand what is right and wrong. It's more like, do what, as you say, for some reason, when people get religious, they always use different words like "do what thy wilt" or whatever, rather than "do what you will." I don't know why that is, but it happens.
Especially in the Catholic Church, they do.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially.
Lest it be forgot. I don't even know what that means. Yeah, so, I mean, is it like a different way of looking at what is right or wrong rather than saying, you know, the guys in the robes know what's right and wrong, let's just work it out as we go along kind of thing? Is that a refreshing way? Is that the appeal of Satanism or some of these other spiritual approaches? I mean, what do people think about that? Is it just a different approach to not say...
Religion exists in the world that it exists in, and if nobody believes in a religion, the religion isn't going to thrive. And the monotheistic religions have spread from 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, Islam 1,300 years ago.
Yeah.
They've spread into the world that needed them. And now we've got the world we have today is, for the last 100 years, has been a global world. It's the first time we've ever had a true global world. And people now, I think the aspect of that, the definition of that, is you can pick and choose what you want. It's like shopping. You can have a bit of this, bit of that. And people have now, and religion now is morphing itself into like a manifestation of that. And you get the spirituality of New Age, which has only been here for 50 years, but that is pick and choose. It's cherry pick your religion.
Is it more closer to what Bob's saying of do what thou wilt and do what you want?
Yeah.
Do that anyway. Do what you want. I think religion's there, but nowadays everyone's like, it's what suits them. I mean, they'll pick an aspect from this one, or pick it, and then they'll mold it to.
They'll just kind of pick the elements of each religion they like.
That they feel is relevant to them, and they go by that.
Okay.
What you're talking about is lazy religious people, which is our favourite thing, really. That we love religious people who don't do anything with the books that they read. That they just sort of casually wear a necklace and they say they're one thing, but they don't actually act upon it.
What about you, Bob? What about have you got spiritual beliefs?
I used to be a staunch atheist when I was a kid, but as the older I get, the more sort of spiritual I feel about things. But I don't believe in a specific.
Into any kind of religious practice?
No, not really.
A generalised spirituality.
I'm too much of a cynic to really believe in anything magical.
Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of. I think I was reading some book, and they were saying that I thought it was an interesting point. How before all the technology existed in the way that it is now, because now obviously we can see how incredible human achievements can be. Like, you know, we can fly to the moon, etc., and we can come up with all these huge machines. So that in itself seems like impossible becomes possible in a way. But I think before, people obviously, the only contact and explanation with what's happening in your life was probably you just going and looking in the sky and like looking and trying to guess, like, and just because sky in itself is kind of a infinity, so that's the unknown right there. So I think. So what you're saying? Basically, Victor, my point is of saying, like, so before you had to have this dialogue with the unknown all the time because obviously that you wouldn't like believe in maybe. There was none of that technology, I think. Yeah. Maybe technology. I guess my point is that technology does play a part in what people believe in, just because we can see how many things are possible, and
So you have a bit more belief in human power.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And the kind of explainable against the unexplainable. I mean, do we need a spiritual side anymore?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
I think it's fundamentally part of being human. The feeling of awe, whether you used to get it from a burning bush 3,000 years ago, or now you get it by looking at the size of the universe, it's a sense of humans always wanting to progress beyond its curiosity. You need it, and I think spirituality is one of the ways where we express that. Yeah. And we might never be able to get our hands on it. Once we feel we've grabbed it, it becomes something else beyond. Yeah. But I think it's fundamental in humans.
Okay. Do we need a spiritual side? Doesn't matter what technology we've got, how we can connect on the internet or whatever. We still need to have that spiritual.
I think we don't need it for morality. I think there's a common misconception that in order to be moral, you need a god or you need an overseer or like a common goal to work toward. I think naturally, as collectively as people, we can do things that are right and wrong, and we want to treat each other well because it works better for all of us.
So we kind of got this inbuilt sense of what's right and wrong. It's not about that. It's more about something else.
But that is the question. It's a good question. Like, does it really build in our? Do we just wake up and know what's right or what's wrong, or is it really like the consequence of religion being around for so long? Maybe because I feel like you can't really deny the fact that, let's say, like certain types of religion or Christianity were around for so long. You can't deny that, and I think it really affects a lot of what we do nowadays,
so
even though
we're not religious, that religion has kind of told us what's right and wrong.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there are rules that have been in place that were essentially religious rules, and now we've changed them. We've moulded them to our more modern environment.
Can you give us an example?
So homosexuality. Literally today, homosexuality was decriminalised in India.
Yeah.
So and that was a. Today.
Wow.
Today. And so, homosexual sex was decriminalised.
Smattering of applause for that. It's almost like someone's scored a 4 at cricket.
It was only the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
But it was because it was ruled unconstitutional.
Yeah.
The law. But it's essentially, these are all laws that were put in place because somebody's read Leviticus and said, well, these things are bad. Except they didn't. Well, there were times, I suppose, where somebody must have said, there must have been a law at some point.
What was the problem with homosexuality? What did they not like about it?
Well, within Leviticus, it's an abomination, isn't it?
Why
it's what? Cutting your hair is an abomination, and all of these other things. Within the Leviticus writes all the rules, what you can and what you can't do. So eating pork and all of these other things, and there are lots of rules there, but we only want to pick on the ones that we can. That are easy to pick on. So you can pick on those people that do different things. But if you fancy cutting your hair, you wouldn't put that into the rule of law.
Okay, so what are you saying here? Do we need the religion or do we not need the religion? Let's get some. Yeah.
Listen, what the people go wrong, they mix up religion and culture. It's not, whatever everybody say, do what religion say. We wouldn't go crazy the way we are.
What, if people just followed religious law?
No, they listen what is religion. What they mix around religion and culture and colors and anything. You cannot mix around all that.
But what about this question? Do we need religion to know what is right or wrong, or could we just?
Of course, we need that. I need that.
Okay.
I'm not following my religion. I shouldn't be drinking. I shouldn't be smoking. You know what I mean?
So, but you know what is right and wrong.
I know what's right and wrong. Some people can find it themselves. They don't need religion. They can find. They can find what's wrong, what is right.
Yeah.
But some people work, some people it's not work. But what is this wrong? The people, the more they take in it, the culture, the more they take in it, the religion.
Yeah. Okay. So is religion and culture are different as far as you.
Different story.
Okay.
Well, what I do like about this is that I like the idea of the fact that religion in a way it's like it's an observation of people's behavior, and then you kind of like make observation, then you make kind of
some laws based on it.
Some laws based on it. You see, like, okay, this didn't work out in a long period of time, so we maybe shouldn't do that. That's what I like about it, and that's how I kind of.
But I mean, do you think we need religion to know what is right and wrong?
Well, that's just on this, like, if you look at the Bible, I mean, I haven't read it, to be honest. It's on my list. I should read it.
Yeah.
But But the point is, like, I like the idea, I guess, that it could be this kind of collection of observation of people's behavior.
Yeah. So it's based on observation, the Bible, and it's based on kind of knowledge through the ages.
It just reminds me. A few months ago, I watched a YouTube speech by Christopher Hitchens about 10 years ago, and he was a committed atheist, and the main thing he said was, we've been humans for 100,000 years. How did we get, and the 10 Commandments were given to us historically, possibly 3,500 years ago, were given to Moses on Sinai. How did we have those other 97,000 years without knowing that you shouldn't commit adultery, you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't covet your brother's wife or anything like that? Surely, if we didn't know that until that moment, we wouldn't have reached that point anyway, because we would have all killed each other. We obviously knew that innately, without having been told it 3,000 years ago.
When Moses came down from the mount and he said, "Thou shalt not commit adultery," people didn't go, "Oh, that's what we've been doing wrong."
That's it. Yeah, exactly. We must have known that before that, or else we wouldn't have formed groups. We wouldn't have had tribes. We wouldn't have had any sort of levels of behaviour. It wouldn't have worked. We didn't need someone telling us to do that. We already knew it.
Were kind of self-evident, and we didn't need Moses to come down from the mountain and tell us.
So I might be wrong here, but isn't the Bible like the collection of different stories in a sense? So it's not like one book that one guy just sat and wrote, but it's like a collection of stories. So that's what I like about it. Is like the idea of it. I haven't read it.
The New Testament is the Old Testament. Not.
Yeah. So
We need some religious experts here to maybe fill us in a little bit.
I mean, the myth. Sorry, I've just put my political stance there. The myth of Adam and Eve. Sorry about that. The story of Adam and Eve. That could go back 20, 30,000 years. I mean, we don't know. But I mean, the Old Testament. It's an accumulation of a lot of stories that are a lot older than 3,000 years. But certain parts of it, I mean, Moses, if he did exist, would have been about 2000 BC, 1500 BC. The other things like the flood, we don't know when that happened, and Abraham and all that, and a bit older. And obviously the Garden of Eden, who knows. But those sort of more historical, more things that state a genealogy and history, you can sort of date them. And when it comes to the fact you can't date the Exodus and things like that, to about 3,000, 4,000 years ago. And it does beg the question, did we not know what morals were before that?
Okay. So you're saying we did know, and that we've got this innate sense?
Yeah.
So do we think then that religion isn't really? I mean, I think Bob and Alex. Bob, are you still around? Bob, calling Bob. Bob is kind of saying Bob is saying that religion isn't really about right or wrong, but about spirituality, and that's something different. But I mean, do we agree with that? I think everyone seems to agree it's not about necessarily knowing right or wrong, but does it still have a function?
Religions existed prior to Judaism. So the Egyptians had religion before Judaism, clearly, because that's mentioned in the... Yeah, exactly. And
well,
they must have had some kind of morality.
Do they have an adultery clause?
I don't know, because they certainly. I mean, when you look at Egyptian history, lots of brothers and sisters were married and having children together.
Okay, we got some. What's that from over here?
Well, the Egyptians, they married into their own family. Well, they had children with their brothers and sisters, didn't they?
So they had a different sense of what is right and wrong.
Yeah.
What are you going to say, Asha?
I'm saying that if the people use the word religion is a good way, when you use the religion good way, is that you can learn it there. Without religion, good and bad.
So, I mean, are you saying that in a way religion is a good...
It's a good... If the people using the way religion is, if they're using good way, it is a good way.
Do you think the majority of people that are religious use it in a good way?
No. Now they use it in a bad way, because...
Okay.
Our Allah never say take your life or take somebody else's life. Now somebody can put bomb themselves and they're blowing everybody, each other. That is the wrong way.
But that's not. I mean, most people are not.
They're not. Most of the people is not. But if you're doing the way that they say to do it, it's a good way. If you use a positive way, it's a positive.
Okay. I mean. Has religion had a positive impact on the world by and large? Okay, there's a few people that take it too far.
People take it the wrong way.
You think?
For one particular example, I think how it's had a positive. 1800 years ago, the Roman Empire was split between two religions: Christianity and Mithraism.
Yeah.
And
what was the second?
Mithraism.
What's that?
The worship of Mithras. He was a soldier cult. There's a temple of him just in the city of London, the Temple of Mithras.
Right.
It's just near the Walbrook, right in the middle there. And the Roman Empire was split between the two.
Yeah.
And it chose Christianity because of Constantine chose it.
Yeah.
Had it chosen Mithraism, Christianity is forgive your neighbour, be good to one another. Mithraism is jump on a bull and kill it with a knife.
Right.
And that's its and drink its blood. That's its central ideal. So had it chosen that, the world the last 2,000 years would have been a much more violent place.
Right.
And I think Christianity did a good job for that. Whether it still does today is another point.
Okay, so religions by and large have had a positive impact on the world, says Jed. We've kind of decided while you were away, Bob, that as you were suggesting actually, that right and wrong were kind of innate things that human beings kind of knew. But there is a spiritual side to it, or there's another guidance that religion does bring that has a positive impact on the world, by and large.
I think every community has its own rules, and then obviously as communities grew and became countries, every sort of country has its own rule set, which we now call laws. And obviously I know that religion has informed many of those laws, but in essence those laws were there beforehand, because there can be no form of society without a rule set. You can't simply steal from somebody else, etc., without there being some kind of repercussion. But that doesn't eliminate the need for religion. Just because it doesn't enforce our rule set doesn't mean that we don't need to believe in something more.
So what is religion doing if it's not about rules? What is the other side of it?
I suppose in a I don't mean this in a cruel way, but it gives people a certain identity without having to foster it themselves. If they believe they're part of something larger, they don't really have to dwell on who they are on a larger level. I don't think that it actually involves less. If you put destiny in God's hands and you say He's got a plan for me, you don't have to work out your own plan.
Okay, so it's about identity as far as you're concerned. It's about having a sense of who you are. You're fitting into a huger plan. I was about to come to you, Jed. Religion, has it got a positive impact on the world, and what is its kind of?
Well, I mean, it does give
purpose.
People it does give people a purpose. That's what I was going to say. But yes, I mean, I see it sometimes as a way of controlling people. Sometimes.
Is it also a way of controlling people? In what way?
Just that they don't like think outside the box, or think they just go right. This is right. This is wrong.
So it kind of limits thought.
So well, almost like to the point where you can like. This religion is wrong, so that's the wrong religion, and this is the right religion, and that creates that kind of divide in a way. So
it's a way to divide people as well.
I think Karl Marx said that. Was it Karl Marx? I could have fucked this up, but he said that religion is the opiate of the masses, something like that. Which I think, but in a sense it is, in that it sort of subdues people, especially because the main thing that really attacks us all beyond all else is the fact that we have a limited mortality. You know, we've got a small amount of time on the planet, and believing in a God that also has an afterlife, if you do good things, presumes that you don't have to worry about mortality anymore. So it takes away the burden of like the harshest element of our living experience.
Okay, the limit to our length of life. Yeah. I mean, religion, is there a purpose to it? Is it controlling people? Is it giving us a sense of identity? Do we need that sense of identity? These are the questions. Come and get involved. Religion, what do you think about religion? Come and have a seat.
I don't believe in religion.
Yeah? Do you think it controls people? That's what Rick's saying. It's kind of a way to control people.
Well, I don't believe in religion whatsoever.
Yeah? Why?
There's no such thing as God in my head.
Okay, I mean, there's gods. There's no gods.
No gods.
Yeah. What about over here in the cheap seat? What do you think about religion? Is it a way to control people?
I just think you're either good or bad.
Yeah.
I follow the good path.
Okay, so, and it could be religion, it could be not.
Does that suggest that if you're either good or bad, that there's no room for change?
No, I'm just saying that that's me personally on a thing.
It's a personal journey. Come closer. Come, Victoria, pass the mic over.
Not to do bad things in life, which is what I call bad things, like robbing a bank or being horrible to someone, and I try and do nice things to people.
I'm sure you must realise that life is a lot more complex than your own decisions. If you were brought up in a certain way, or if your financial situation is very bad, you might do something out of desperation for your family.
I like to live as simple life as possible. That's all I can say for me. That is just me.
Okay.
I've had a lot of tragedy in my life, and I just like to. I just choose to go what I call down the good path and be.
Wouldn't you say that that's a certain amount of privilege to that position, and that to be able to not make those decisions means you're comfortable enough?
What kind of decisions are you talking about?
Well, I mean, for instance, if you felt that your family were in a very bad financial situation and you had to steal in order for them to not starve, that would be a bad decision, right? Within what you're saying, right? To rob a bank, you used that example. I mean, to become a criminal in order to help your family, that's not a bad or a good.
There are people that are well off that will still steal, and they will still, and they'll do it just because they can. But I mean, they'll steal from the taxpayer as well, kind of thing, because they can. You know, they're gonna cheat the system. They're well off. They got lots of money, but they're screw things. So it doesn't matter. People have and people will kill even if they're rich.
I mean, hang on a sec, Bob. Let's just spread this out, because is there like really a sense of what is right and what is wrong, and it's kind of obvious, or are there grey areas? I mean, you think there are grey areas? Yeah. Okay. Victoria?
There's this psychologist, Jordan Peterson, if anyone knows him. Yeah, so he talks a lot about that, the fact that sort of the competitive behavior is engraved in humans since forever, since like the trees before the trees came around, basically, where like small animals were competing for territory. Yeah. So he brings this great example of crabs? Yeah. Lobsters. Yeah. He brings this example of lobsters, the fact that lobsters were around for a long time, for millions of years, and the natural behavior of lobsters is that they compete for territory. Yeah. And that brings along a lot of patterns that are similar to human behavior in a way. A lobster's like supposed to share. Lobsters are supposed to share. They're supposed to share a similar neuron system. Yeah. Similar.
But what is it we can learn from the lobsters?
The point, nervous system. Yeah. The point is that a lot of things are quite natural for people, like just compare each other by its size, like who's stronger, who's not stronger, who's like fighting for a female, who's not fighting for a female, who owns territory, who doesn't own territory, who like get in fights with each other because of the trying to get the rights for territory. So sort of those things are like. Yeah.
So what you're saying is getting into fights has been happening since the time of lobsters.
Yeah. And
it's
what I mean, like,
natural.
What I mean, like, in that sense, maybe religion is kind of like, depending where you are, I guess, in the world, it kind of like shapes it in some way, like these patterns of behavior that have been around for like millions of years.
So it's somehow
obviously before that there were myths, that people used to believe in and that sort of thing. So it's kind of like I like that idea of I quite like that. I guess that there's some things that are so natural to humans. It's like it's ingrained kind of.
So this idea that the lobsters squaring up against each other, like the biggest lobster wins the fight, the one with the biggest pincers or whatever, and a religion somehow defines that and creates a kind of framework for humans to do the lobster thing, according to Jordan Peterson, the psychologist. You've come back to say, well, at the moment we're talking about, is there an ingrained sense of right or wrong? Are there grey areres? Is there kind of
ingrained from when?
Ingrained, I guess, from the time of lobsters, I suppose. No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I work with young people.
Yeah.
From all different backgrounds and not healthy backgrounds, and to say that they were ingrained from back when lobsters.
Yeah.
Or
You don't think
before I don't know. I didn't even say that. Back from way back when. Like I'm a bit confused.
So you think they don't necessarily know what is right and wrong?
No, they're just shown from the people they watch.
One of the worst religious concepts that somehow these arcane monotheistic tomes have managed to come up with is the idea of original sin, that we're like born with something that we can't wash off us immediately. That's a really cruel idea. It's something that the Catholics have went into, right? So you've got to constantly repent. You've got to constantly repent no matter what. I mean, that's an awful idea. But in reality, like basically, I mean, even if you've got let's say you've got a homeless shelter that's as a part of a church. You know, some homeless shelters will let homeless people just stay there for free or give them soup or whatever, or some of them will require them to pray in order for that food to be given to them. I mean, this is not an unusual concept, and it still goes on today. So the idea is, are you really doing something because you think it's a good idea, or because you're trying to get in the good favour of the gods? And that calls into question the morality that religion supposes is right.
So that addresses another question of does altruism exist? Because if you're another example of what you're seeing is when the industrialists used to set up towns for their workers, a brilliant factory, loads of streets where they actually were very comfortable living, but there was no pubs allowed and you had to go to church every Sunday. So there was conditions. They were doing it. Were they doing it for the good of humanity, or were they doing it because they were going to get plus points in heaven? So that addresses the other issue of, does altruism exist? Can you actually do something for the good of everybody without any reward for you at all? Can you just do it because you think it's the good thing to do, and you're not thinking you're going to get a reward financially in this world or spiritually in the next world? Can you just do it off your back?
Okay.
It's a big question.
I mean, does God favour those people that just do stuff just that because they're good, or does God, he or she, prefer those people that do it to please that God? And you know, can we actually be just generous just for the sake of it? You know, like for example, would somebody buy me a pint not to show off or anything like that, but just simply for the sake of generosity? You know, just not for any. Just a good.
The thing is, I think you've got to then define what is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And if you define that as being something that your church or your religion has told you this is a good thing, then clearly you're not being altruistic. You're doing it because
you're in the program.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, but what about this wider question about, can we actually be good? Can we be generous just for the sake of it? Just because we want to do it?
God is giving us all his children. He be like good and bad. And more than he like who's the bad one. He tried to be safe with these bad ones.
Right. So you're saying that God treats everybody equally?
Equally, but
doesn't matter what they do in the end.
No. You should be doing what God say to do with you. Yeah. But if you're not doing it, He encourage you.
Right.
He still have a hope for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what He is.
Okay. So in a way, I think I'm picking up what you're saying. We're having a serious.
Final thought.
Hang on. Are you off? Yeah. We need a final thought from you. Could be about anything we talked about. We started off Donald Trump, democracy, whatever. It could be any of those things. Racism, any of those.
Keep talking about beauty.
Yeah.
Because there's too many beautiful people here.
Okay, so the beauty thing was obviously the thing that most affected Alex and the beauty discussion. Okay, so where do we want to go with this? Do we want to talk about what God thinks and what God wants? Do you want to talk about this idea of, can we actually be just nice people, be good people, or have we always got...
Come on, take the mic, mate.
I'm not here.
Don't be shy.
So,
but you are though.
What do you think? We didn't get your name, by the way. What
get your name.
Yeah, but what?
I don't believe in God. I said this already. Look, think about it. If there was a God in this world, and He made all of us and all the world, who made God? And that person who made God, who made Him?
Do you think has God got another religion based on like all the people that make? Is there like a sort of?
There's always a chain link to everything.
Yeah.
If God made us, then who made Him? And who made that person? There's always going to be
Has
a
God
chain
got got his own gods.
And that's why I don't believe in it.
Yeah. And are there a bunch of gods sitting around a table arguing about whether there's like there's a other? You say
They're laughing at us.
right? Okay. Are they laughing? Are they watching us on YouTube? Kind of asking
Within a sort of traditional monotheism, I think that they would say that God sort of created himself and the heavens above. I mean, within voodoo, for instance, they believe that's voodoo with a U, not a double O. They believe that that God did create the earth, and then he sort of fucked off. He left. He no longer was interested in us, or died naturally and left us to fend for ourselves.
So was it like a sort of semi-successful Christmas present, like a train set that he set up and then got bored with, kind of thing? Okay. So I mean, there's different answers to this. Did God create himself? Has God just left now and not sort of, job done kind of thing, or got bored with planet Earth?
Yeah, this experiment has failed, is it?
Yeah. Has God moved on to another species or doing something else now? These are all questions. It's not just whether God exists or not. Have you got a view on this? Well, God. I mean, what's your feeling about God? I mean,
I believe in God.
yeah. Is God actively involved, or is God sitting back now and just watching things happen, or just not even watching, just kind of like onto some other scheme?
Left us.
And does God have her or his own gods that created them? These are some of the questions. What's this?
Some of these questions. My name's Sheila.
Sheila, let's have a quick round of names. Sheila, we got Lorna, we got Bob, we got Rick, we got Victoria. We've got at the back here. Maureen and Paul. And what was it again? Craig, that's right. And Naz, and Alina, and Asher over here, and Mikey. And right now, I suppose we're talking about that. Basically, Craig doesn't think there's a God, because if there was a God, who created that God? We've had a few different answers to that. Maybe there's a next level of gods, or maybe God created himself somehow, or...
You respect other people's opinions.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Our church every Sunday, I feel that if I didn't go to that, he sort of saved me when I was in a really bad place, like when my dad died and things like that. But it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
And I work with Growth, which is like the church shelter, which is a religious thing. But when the people come in and they spend, not some of them want to learn how to pray or anything. It's not for them. They're living out in the street.
In your view, what does God actually want? Because one of the questions that came up just before you came in, is God more interested in people kind of acknowledging him or her or whatever, or however you describe him, or is God more interested in people doing good things? And what's God's kind of agenda?
My thing is what's good for you.
Right.
So if it works that you're helping other people, or you're doing, or that you go there, it's got to be from you.
Right.
Because.
Do you feel like there are some things that God frowns upon, and there are some things that he likes?
I'd hope to think he's non-judgmental. That's but that's what I say. It's what's in your
right. So it's more about bringing out what's in your heart than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever you believe, and that, but not preaching to other people.
In that way, do you think he's sort of an ambivalent God? He just sort of doesn't care either way, but he loves everyone equally.
Either way. Cares always.
I mean, what Asher said is that what Asher said is that God loves everybody, and he wants everyone to do good. But just if you don't do good,
still he loves you. See,
you
is his child.
Yeah.
But you know what? You need to get off the God situation, or you all get into chaos tonight.
Yeah.
Get off the God one. Leave it alone.
Do you think that if God was out there, and some people say yes, some people say no, would God want us to be having this discussion, or would he want to?
He would have this discussion, and we would talk about how everybody feeling it. But one thing, when you not believe in nothing, I cannot say everybody's have a choice to not believe in whatever they want it. Yeah? But when it's coming me and my God, nobody go between that. It's me and my God.
I mean, if God was watching this, would he Would he enjoy this?
He said, "What is wrong with you guys? I'll give you. What is wrong with you guys? It's about it. I'm telling you.
Would he be angry?
You're always sticking you tonight, saying it, that one, that one, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we getting good ticks or bad ticks? That's what I'm saying.
Listen.
Yeah.
You itch ticks.
Yeah. I had one. Yeah. God gave me a tick. I had a tick actually on Saturday. A tick. I had to get it removed. It was. Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
That's awful, man.
My dad got it off with petrol. It was in my belly button. Yeah, a bit vicious.
Sorry, Mikey, where did you get the tick from?
I actually got it from a field in Latvia.
My God, what you were pissing in a field and it latched on, or?
Yeah, I was just in the field in Latvia. Anyway, this is not about me. This is about God's and God's ticks. But I mean, what do people think? Okay, so that's just saying that God might be angry about this conversation, but
No, it's not angry. What is wrong with you? He say to you guys, what is wrong with you?
Right.
I'll give you everything you want. You're healthy. What is wrong with you?
okay. What I mean, what do you, let's go around the table with this. What do you think God would think of it? I imagine God. You believe that God is watching this conversation.
No.
What would he think? What if he did catch it on YouTube? What would he think? What would he think about it?
If he was watching it on YouTube, he might go rewind, or he might go, I've had enough of this now.
So it might be a little
Big
bit,
Brother is on.
a little bit bored in a sense.
I'd rather watch Laura and Hardy, you know.
So the entertainment value may not be high enough. I mean, what do you think? What do you think God's approach to this conversation might be?
If he exists.
Yeah.
Oh, as he exists. I honestly don't know. I don't know.
To be very forgiving, so he should forgive.
Yeah. Would he find it entertaining, or would he find it boring? This
Well, he's meant to be forgiving, so
Yeah.
I don't think the entertainment comes into
Is
it.
it element?
No.
Yeah.
It's a joke what we say, but God is going to give me good and bad, both of them. But it's God existed. If you not believe in it, it's your choice.
Yeah. Can I just come to you?
If we're created in His image, then and we're finding this fairly entertaining, then
you think God
probably He would, I think, you know.
Would God feel a little bit upset about, and God contributes to this conversation somehow.
They say, what's wrong with you, sir?
And how would God actually?
I think it's a big joke because, you know, everywhere around the world, someone's at least talking about God or worshipping God. So, you know, he'll be like, oh, them? Oh, yeah.
So this is more like, oh, they're talking about me again.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
All right. I mean, what would God think of this conversation? That's what we're talking about at the moment.
He'd be laughing at you, that what she's
laughing.
saying.
I mean, most people.
Human beings as a whole, the race, we're laughable. We're a big joke in the whole scale of things. To God, it'd just be like, oh, they exist. The next minute they don't. You know, we're a blink in the eye of the whole universe and the whole timeline of the universe.
So from God's point of view, in a way, we're a kind of cosmic glitch.
Yeah.
We're not that important. We're not. You know, it's just a microsecond as far as God's concerned, because God's got a much wider perspective than just a few minutes or a few hours. Yeah. So it's probably just what our conversation is a bit too instant for God, maybe. Okay, interesting points here. Jed, come and sit down. Bring your points to the table.
Don't say nothing to God. Leave alone.
God is the thing that to believe us. God always looks over us. 3,000 years ago, God looked over our planet and the moon and the sun, and now God looks over the entire universe. That's the thing. He grows with our ability to understand Him. But he always grows. So now he just watches everything. His attention has got a lot bigger over the past few hundred years because we've realised how big the universe is. There's no answer to that. Okay. If you believe that, you believe that. If you don't, you don't.
So it's like, we're getting a bit cosmic here. Do we want to talk about the size of the universe? has God increased with the size of the universe?
Always expanding, right? So, like I said, we're just a minuscule part of the whole scale of things. I mean, you know, we had before the humans were here, it was like the dinosaurs, and before that there was something else. It was always evolving into something, but as you've noticed, there's no more dinosaurs. Just like the dinosaurs will be extinct soon, will be gone soon, and there'll be something else that's even more intelligent or less intelligent than us.
Okay, I mean, what about this question? Because you, Craig, you started off with this question about if God exists, who created God? Aren't we left with the same question when it comes to the universe? Like,
nobody created the God. God is a spirit. It's not. You cannot say he or she.
Yeah.
It's a spirit.
Okay. But I mean, going back to Craig's question, because I think Craig sees it differently. Who created the universe? If God didn't create the universe, you still need the same explanation of how the universe was created.
But the God created it. No, you don't believe in it. Who made that? Alien?
Yeah. There's only one way to say that. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Right. I mean, that's the answer to that.
Oh, let's not get into that one. I don't know it's the chicken.
We know it's a chicken.
Yeah.
Because of course there was a chicken before that chicken, right? That's the idea.
Yeah.
But you're saying like the OG chicken, the original gangster chicken, like the chicken before the chicken, which is not a chicken at all. It's like a dinosaur, right? So.
So in the answer to what came first, the chicken or the egg, the answer is the dinosaur.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Well, of course, if God made the dinosaurs, now I mean, dinosaurs really are the argument against Christianity. And I mean, it's only in the last sort of 30, 40, maybe no less, 20 years that creationists have really embraced the idea of dinosaurs and said that there were dinosaurs on the ark.
Right.
And suggest, you can go to museums in America where there's like Jesus riding raptors and stuff. It's insane. They believe that the dinosaurs sort of pitted out.
Okay.
All right. It's coming to you tonight.
Okay, so
it's coming tonight to you.
Okay.
Don't go down to you.
Okay.
Are you ready for that? Are you ready? No.
Aisha, it sounds like you come to you every night. The way you are. You're to see every time you're here.
Yeah. Okay. So where are we going to go with this conversation? Do we want to talk about dinosaurs? Do we want to talk about chickens and eggs? Do we want to talk about the universe?
Why would God make the dinosaurs, extinguish them, then go, you know what? Let's get some human beings on the planet.
Okay. So you think the dinosaurs are an argument against God?
Absolutely. I mean,
it's against Christianity, or the Judeo-Islamo-Christian philosophy.
So how many other religions accept dinosaurs within the pantheon of being? I mean, or is
There really isn't. There aren't any that I know of that positively discuss people wandering around with dinosaurs.
Okay, so let me spread this out a bit and get the sort of view from this side of the table. Dinosaurs, how do they fit in with God? Do they fit in squarely with God? Sheila?
I've got lost.
Yeah?
I've got lost with dinosaurs, chickens and eggs.
Dinosaurs have a god? Was there a dino god for the dinosaurs?
It was. I'd like to believe,
No, as far as I'm aware, no religion that exists today has any capacity for dinosaurs. It sort of doesn't. But certain religions, by their theology, are more acceptable to the ideas than others. I think the Eastern religions, Buddhism, Taoism, things like that, are more acceptable to the fact that things come and go in cycles and stuff like that. The monotheist religions might be a bit more resistant to that idea, may not be able to accept it as much. But I don't think any religion has that sense of 65 million years of history to it. Right. I don't think they have.
Okay. I mean, is that the fault of the religion, or I mean, is that an argument against God, or just the way that we interpret God, the kind of religious understanding of what God is?
Is it possible that if, for any of the true God believers here, that God made the dinosaurs and thought, you know what, you had your time, I'll send a comet down, kill you all, and now I'll start the whole human thing going on, like a project, like a second project.
Okay, is that how it worked? Did God send the meteorite that killed the dinosaurs?
It could be argued that that's what his kind of modus operandi is, in that he will get pissed off with something, destroy it, and then start another thing, which he did with the Ark, and
yeah,
absolutely.
In a way, there is kind of evidence that that's how God works because of the floods, and so the comet could be part of that kind of like shock and awe sort of mentality. Did God send the comet or the meteorite that killed the dinosaurs? Yeah, it could have been a volcano. But
did he erupt the volcano? I think we like to think that the stuff that happened before humanity just didn't happen, which is a really weird way of thinking about history.
Right.
It's as if saying that the only things that have a history are things that can think for themselves, which is definitely not true.
Okay.
I mean, fauna, plant life, geology, everything has a history. Why is it that we're abandoning all these gigantic reptiles that march through the earth? You know, it doesn't make sense. In fact, once I spoke to a Jehovah's Witness, and they told me that the reason that God made the dinosaurs was to trample the earth, to terraform the land, so that it was easier for us to live there.
Okay. Is it that human-centric? Is it that human-centric? Is God all about humans, or does God have the same view to other animals?
Doesn't explain ichthyosaurs or prehistoric sea-based creatures.
About I mean, I think what we're alluding to here is called, philosophically, it's called the problem of evil. Yeah. And I mean, the problem of evil has always been there, and how we explain that bad things happen to good people. Right. I mean, the main thing that started.
Are you talking about the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs?
Well, you're talking about why these things happen. Are they acts of God, or are they just arbitrary things that happen? And if you want an explanation, you say it's an act of God, even though it's a bad thing. And if you believe in God, you think God is all good. His presence is goodness. But why? So therefore, why do bad things happen to good people? And this big question was first addressed. The main reason it was addressed, it was in about 1760. There was a huge earthquake in Lisbon, in Portugal. It killed thousands of people, and it was on a Sunday when they were all in church. Had they been outside, they would have been saved, but the buildings collapsed on them. Yeah, all the churches collapsed, and this was that was the first real time that people in the modern world had to really address this fundamental problem, the problem of evil. Why does God kill good people? Yeah. And it's the same sort of thing. Are these just arbitrary acts of nature, or are they part of a grander design? Yeah. Let's not talk grand designs here. Yeah. We're not talking about architecture here. No. Are they part of a greater design? And when you think about, you're asking the dinosaurs being wiped out. Was it? If you believe in God, you think, well, they were wiped out because God chose a better design. And we are the better design. Do you believe we're the better design than dinosaurs? Or do you believe that? I mean, these are huge questions here.
We're so different. Like us and the dinosaurs. If it was an initially fucked up design, it's an amazingly new project what he came up with the primates and all that. I mean,
I mean, for sure. Yeah.
What you were saying, like, it just reminds me of, whether you're responsible for everything that happens to you, or whether, it's not just all your responsibility, because I think, like, if you think that everything that happens to you is completely your responsibility, it's kind of hard.
I mean, like, for example, like, I accidentally sat on my friend's £200 sunglasses. Like, I didn't do it.
It's not the most expensive sunglasses, don't worry. It's not the most.
Am I responsible for that, or is that just an act of God in a way? I mean,
that's up for the insurance to decide, surely, for that one, if it's an act of God or not. Yeah. So maybe the insurance is God, basically.
They were insured. So. But I mean, in a way, that's a more kind of mundane version of the same thing. Like, I could have easily sat down next to those sunglasses.
No, it's, the person's. It's not your fault. It's their fault for leaving it on the chair.
It was on the black sunglasses on a black sofa.
Yeah.
Is it God's fault for leaving us on the chair?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, what's wrong with feeling bad and having bad stuff happen to you? Like, would anyone on this table wish for nothing bad to happen to them? Really? Really?
Bad to happen to me.
Yeah. Don't you think you learn from all that bad stuff as well?
I guess, but I'd rather not have. I'd live in. I'd love to live in a blissful situation.
You would realise very quickly that you weren't living in a real world. I think actually that's one of the concepts they bring up in the Wazowski sisters, the Matrix film, whereby they say like the previous Matrixes didn't work because the other Matrix worlds they built were supposed to be super happy, where everyone was fantastic, and everyone revolted and was freaking out because they couldn't accept the idea that everything was working the way that it should.
Okay, so we have to have bad stuff happen to us.
Maybe.
I mean, what about Victoria's point? Are we actually responsible for this?
I'm just reading this book I had for like ages, and it's called Vipassana. It's about type of meditation, and basically they're sorry, quickly. Sorry, what was your point? I got a bit distracted.
The Matrix. Like, no, it's like this thing because Akbar said that basically Lorna said we have to have bad things happen to us. They kind of define us. And Akbar said no, I don't need bad things happening to me.
So basically, the whole point of this book is that why the reason you meditate, because you want to get into the clear state of mind, and they say it's like because this meditation was supposed to be taught by Buddha, and they say like, oh, actually, the clear state of mind is the happy state of mind, because we're so used to being, they ask questions within the book, oh, maybe do the bad things, don't they teach us, don't we evolve through going through bad things? And they're like, well, really, actually, because we're so used to it, but used to experiencing pain and experiencing suffering, that we're not even we don't realize that the natural state of mind is like pure and happy, and then that's when it's supposed to be clear. Yes, it's supposed to be the clearest, and then that's when you like really, really kind of experience things.
So what you're saying, we don't need the bad things to happen to us?
They can happen, but as long as we're like not
kind of
attached to them, as long as we kind of like disattach and like really look at it as objectively as possible, I guess.
Okay.
I mean,
do we need bad stuff to happen to us? Does it somehow define us?
I just want to go back to what you said about the Matrix. The Matrix. The best thing I heard recently or saw was they asked, Keanu Reeves just giving his point on his film, The Matrix. He said, and this totally blew my mind, The Matrix wasn't a movie, it was a documentary. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh.
Excellent. Okay.
So are they numbing us to think? Are they numbing us to think that it's normal for that to happen? Are we?
I want all Keanu Reeves films to be a documentary now for some reason. I think it's been fantastic.
Was Bill and Ted's
exactly.
They're making a third, so yeah.
Okay, so the Matrix. We're onto the Matrix now.
I think truly though, I know within Zen Buddhism, life is suffering. That's the concept.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I think
from what I got from Victoria, I might be wrong, but you reach this happy state where you kind of enjoy the suffering.
I think that's true. I mean, there's such a thing as flagellation, isn't there? Sort of deliberately whipping yourself on the back, right? Yeah. Until you see God, until you find God. Yeah. There's this idea. Yeah, we see people doing it in many different ways.
Yeah. Do it weirdly in the middle of St. Albans. In the middle of the market square there. 5 very strange men walking. Anyway, it's another story. Yeah. I don't know what sort of thrill they were getting. Perhaps it was religious. Let's just say it was a religious thrill. Yeah, but anyway, it was a thrill anyway. But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the point you were going to make? Sorry, I sort of
I was going to say that essentially that as life is suffering within that Buddhist sense of the word, that of course we all experience suffering, and maybe that makes the things that are good in our lives that we think are truly good, they stand out from all the horror and the stuff that happens, so that they become truly meaningful. But like only the truly privileged have no suffering, and even those individuals will have a suffering of sorts. You know, maybe for instance they were raised without their parents, raised by nannies or stuff like that. You know, there's always a problem, even when everyone has everything given to them on a plate.
Okay, so in a way, the suffering gives that kind of contrast. It gives that counter to the good times, and everyone has suffering, no matter what.
What is not kill you is make you stronger.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Stronger.
Okay.
Not true.
No, they're not saying it doesn't exist or it shouldn't happen, but it's more about the attitude, I guess.
It's about your attitude to suffering, or to...
Yeah, I guess from what I'm getting from this book at the moment is that it's more about how you perceive it and kind of how you work with it in a way. Yeah, I mean.
Well, I think we kind of got somewhere now. I think we're now moving on to that time when we have to solicit the final thoughts, because we're coming to later. But we've gone very.
I'd just like to say, because we're indoors, we can keep going longer if you want. Up to you.
Let's go longer.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll see. Well, we're talking about suffering.
Are you asking yourself, is there a God?
Yeah, God, somebody deliver me. All right, well, we can go on a bit longer perhaps, because we are indoors, but, you know, where do we want to go? Are we getting anywhere with this? Are we, where do we want to go with it? Do we want to talk about what's the point of suffering?
I feel like it's a bit disjointed right now.
Yeah.
It's like group again.
Okay, well it is, I think...
If there's any point in suffering, it's that we learn from our mistakes, and most importantly, that suffering leads us to being kinder to others. And more accepting of other people's suffering.
So suffering can lead to kindness and empathy and understanding of other people's suffering.
Yeah.
Is that what suffering is about?
Yes.
Yourself. Massively yourself.
Right. So suffering helps you understand
more giving
yourself.
and understanding when it comes to you.
Right.
Like, that's what I learned with.
Okay. So everyone has suffered.
Can we understand the suffering of Donald Trump? You know, that every day, sometimes he wakes up, he's got a bad leg. You know, he gets up, he comes out of bed, he's like, oh, his leg's feeling a bit bad today. Maybe his burger's a little bit late, you know, it should have been here 20 minutes ago.
Does Donald Trump suffer in the way that we all suffer?
Yeah, he clearly does. He gets up at 4 a.m. and tweets some shit. You can't have no suffering in your soul if you can't sleep. You know, if you can sleep, absolutely. Having that restful sleep is I think you sleep better when you're at peace.
Right.
And I don't think he is. Well, no, maybe he will eventually. But
what is troubling Donald Trump?
I don't know what's troubling Donald Trump, but I feel that he is troubled. I don't know if you follow his tweets, but he'll tweet at.
Let me get a final thought from Alina before final thought. Anything that we've talked about or we haven't talked about tonight. Give us a final thought. Grab the mic.
One last thing.
Grab the mic.
What's your favourite movie?
Oh no! What's? Is there anything that?
What's your favourite movie? I've got loads. Yeah, just one.
Or is there anything that you've heard tonight that you thought, oh, that's an interesting point?
What?
Is there anything that you're gonna? What, I mean, is there anything that you're gonna, when you wake up tomorrow, that you're gonna think, oh, someone said something interesting?
The chicken.
See them.
What came first, chicken or the egg?
What come first?
Good choice.
What do you think the best bit was?
See what they've been talking about from the whole town.
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to say.
This say dinosaur give birth to chicken and then we can go.
Okay, done. Craig's done it. Craig's done it already.
Say night.
Dinosaur.
Dinosaur, give birth to chicken, dumb egg, innit? Just go.
Dinosaurs.
That's it.
I'm done now.
Dinosaurs what?
Dinosaurs gave birth to chicken and chicken gives us eggs.
Okay, there we go. Tell that to the teacher tomorrow, and then they'll be well pleased. Okay, final thought, Craig. Apart from the dinosaurs.
Oh, I ain't got no
Is there anything that struck a chord with you tonight? Anything that anyone said?
No.
No.
No. Huh? Well, no one's never going to find that answer out, are they? Because no one's not really discovering that sort of stuff. There you go. But where did God come from? He didn't come from space, did he?
Okay. Okay. Did God come from space? We'll take that as a final thought. We'll have that.
God is an alien.
Okay. God is an alien. We'll also take that as well. Okay.
I was just saying.
Yeah.
Trump. We're
talking about Trump
you know,
suffering,
he's clearly suffering, because if you look at his tweets, sometimes he'll just tweet one word like treachery or something. He wakes up in the middle of the night and he doesn't just say it. Grabs his phone, types it out, and I don't know whether he goes back to bed or whatever, or whether he's having a shit and he's typing this shit. I don't know what's happening, but he's definitely up really early in the morning.
If you eat a lot of McDonald's, you have an irregular bowel movement pattern as well. Right. So I think that means you wake up, you're like,
So right now we're talking about the suffering of Donald Trump, and we're trying to understand Donald
like
Trump.
A medieval painting.
Yeah, the suffering of Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is a dumb man, I know it. And something is not right. And he working people like that.
Yeah.
And more we talk about his name, more we give him power. Yeah. More we talk about, more we give him. We just not talk about him. He's a madman. He doesn't even know why he's doing it. He doesn't. Have you heard the news what they say today?
Does he suffer? Does he suffer?
He's not suffering. He's making people suffering it.
So you don't think he is suffering himself?
No, maybe he's suffering and he's suffering at other people, but he's rich man. Why is more suffering it? He's having money. He's got power.
What's that? Suffering from hair?
Yeah, the only thing he's suffering from is his hairstyle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Though I'm not trying to defer from Trump, I would like to hear a consensus on the table as to who thinks that we need a God. Do we think we need a God?
Okay. Back to the God. Okay, so we're at a crossroads there. Do we want to keep talking about the suffering of Donald Trump? No. Or do we want to go back to God?
I want to talk about the suffering of Donald Trump.
Okay. But do other people...
I do believe, and I feel sorry for him in so many ways. In that, I think his hairline is a big concern for him. I think he's a bit like me when I lost my hair.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't think to stick some more shit up there, right? But you know, I just thought, lost it. There you go, done. And but I was distressed at one point.
Yeah.
But he now I feel it's much more manageable. I've grown this beard and I'm getting pissed off because I have to look after it.
Yeah.
So and
so what you're saying is that Donald Trump's never really got over a change of his appearance.
I don't think he got over losing his hair. And I don't think he got over his dad not caring about him.
Right.
And I don't think he got over all of the business failures that he's encountered.
So you okay?
I do feel he is a bit of a loser. And he's
a big winner.
Okay.
But not really, because do you know what? If he just stuck his dad's inheritance in the bank or left the property that his dad had and not sold any of it, he would have had a lot more money.
It depends what we define. It's what we define as success.
He wouldn't have been famous, kind of thing, if he'd done that. He wouldn't have been like where he's like, everyone knows him.
Maybe perhaps Donald Trump's ego and how he's revered by the people means a lot more to him than money. I think I've heard before.
To you, Bob, would you rather be revered or be rich?
I'd rather be revered.
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 Okay.
I think you're right. I think that Donald Trump needs that kind of affirmation from his adoring public to calm his soul.
Right. What can you do with Hang on, so let's get Victoria. You're at a point. We're talking about the suffering of Donald Trump.
I mean, of course, everybody's suffering from something. He must be suffering from. We don't know what it is.
What would you imagine he's suffering from?
Well, how old is he? How old is he?
72.
72. So, I mean, he must have some health problems, I'm sure. So.
That's health, yeah.
What I'm saying here, American people, they knows what is Donald Trump. It's everything. When it was they fought him, he was there. He was on the table, good and bad. And they fought him, and he came in present.
Yeah.
And we feed him empty soul. He don't got soul. He can do anything he wanna. He can say anything he wanna. What we talking about now, we're giving something to talk about. Why are we talking about him?
Okay, you really don't want to talk about Donald Trump and give him the oxygen. But I mean, what about? I mean, these two things can be connected because there is a thing that about relating to people suffering, which is in religion, and it's not just the people. It's not the people that we like. It's the people that we don't like. We've got to relate to their suffering as well.
No, sorry. Does God love Trump?
Does God love Donald Trump?
He loves everyone, right?
Okay. Does God love Donald Trump?
No.
Would you say?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a devil.
Okay, so God does love Donald Trump.
No, how can you say that?
It's a devil. It's a devil laughing. It's not God laughing.
God loves him.
No, God not love him. God not laugh. But God is just watching what the people they doing and the Satan taking the people. It's nothing to do with the God.
Okay.
No one blames this to God.
But I mean, I think the reason why, because we started off with Donald Trump before you arrived, and everyone was talking about what a bad guy. What a bad guy Donald Trump was. But I think, the point, some of the things that people have brought up about religion and about how it's about kind of empathizing with other people. It's about is connecting with someone that we see as bad like Donald Trump kind of part of this as well, trying to understand that suffering. Where you're saying yes.
Yeah. Let live and let live.
Okay.
And Trump is obviously detrimental to the world. My brother lives in America and he was going to leave America when Trump came in. But he's there now.
Yeah.
People are getting on with it. He's great comedian, pal. Look at
Watch him YouTube and just having a great laugh.
Any show you go to now, the comedians go bang, bang, bang. It's easy.
It's good material.
Boris
He's like the Widow Twanky of today. Yeah, he's just like this pantomime character, He could be Buttons or something like that.
Should we be trying to understand his suffering? Should we just not be talking about him?
We should have talked about
shutting down. Nas?
Shutting down.
What about Trump? I think we should be talking about what he's doing.
Should we be trying to understand his suffering?
What does everyone actually have a problem with? What are people's actual worries about Trump? So immigration and what? Why does everyone hate Trump?
People talking about his anti-Muslim policy.
Right. Okay.
That's kind of racist.
Is it specifically anti-Muslim? Is that?
He's stopped five countries. He's stopped 5 countries from going in. Yeah. Which and ever since Trump came in power, do you remember on the news there was this Asian family who went to the airport and they had already booked a trip to Disneyland, and they were outrightly refused to get in there, and they went on the news because they were like, we were just going there for a holiday, but because we've got so and so names, they wanted to investigate us, and they lost out on a lot of money, and it was never justified in the end. So
I mean, there is. I mean, I think this was at the very beginning of the whole conversation. We were talking about Donald Trump.
It was the law.
Well, it was the laws that he put in place. So this comes again to the idea that
They were from here. They were a British family.
They weren't the laws that he passed. They were laws that were passed during Bush, the second Bush, because anti-terrorist laws. Yeah, the anti-terrorist law, W. And and they were just used by the immigration people or the whatever to say that you weren't allowed to board the plane because they were concerned that so and so was dodgy. I mean, the thing is, to be frank, an awful lot of people in the Islamic community have very similar names. And it's a bit difficult sometimes to necessarily know that this Mohammed is a terrorist and that Mohammed isn't a terrorist.
Yeah.
I just ask, what is it that you drink, Mikey?
Normally just a Carlsberg or something like that. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I grew up with the name Hussein, and basically everyone was like, "Is Saddam your uncle?" I was like, "No, not really." But if you want him to be, you know.
He's done worse than that. I mean, he hasn't just. Well, when he says he's going to have this banning of Muslims, it's not Muslims because he's read the Quran and he understands the metaphysics and the moral codes of Islam or anything like that. He's actually banned people from certain countries, which is it's worse. It's even more ignorant. It's implying that these countries are carte blanche. Radical Islam, terrorists, and all that. It's even worse. It's deeper than that. It's a sort of ignorance that, quite frankly, no world leader should have.
The thing is, it's been made law because it was ratified by the Supreme Court, I think, already, and one of those countries was North Korea. So. Not all Islamic countries, and the reason they said this wasn't a ban on Muslims is because it included countries where very, very few Muslims exist. And so, yeah, North Korea doesn't have a huge Muslim population. So they justified the. I mean, sure, there are Muslims in North Korea. I would be.
Be Muslim. I don't think it is.
There is. I mean, there's a lot of Chinese Muslims, so I can't see why. No, well, possibly, but there are lots of Chinese Muslims.
Anyway, this is something we can look up on Wikipedia, whether there's any Muslims in North Korea. I mean,
what you mean to be? It's illegal to be Muslim.
In North Korea.
Anybody can be Muslim.
Yeah, but.
What do you mean not? Everyone's got Muslim. But you know what?
I don't think it's cool.
Listen, it's nothing to do with a Muslim. Once somebody, one thing I don't agree with this, once somebody doing bad, doesn't matter who they come from or who they are, this is what you say, oh, Muslim terrorists or Muslim that. It's affecting all of us. We're not doing anything bad. You see, you can say that bad people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not all same.
I mean, I don't think anyone around this table would disagree with
No, I'm saying that one day, I'm not saying this is a good conversation, but I don't like if when I hear in the TV, terrorist Muslim or terrorist male. I'm wearing the scarf, look, and I'm not agree with that one, I'm not agree with this one, all to do with the politics and the power and the manners. It's nothing to do with the religion.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying there.
So I just remembered, speaking of things that I've heard Trump did, people didn't like. Well, one of the things that I didn't like, because at the time I was just researching this whole Palestine and Israel conflict. And then recently I heard that, well, not so recently, but the fact that he said that, we're going to move, he basically said, he admitted that Jerusalem was supposed to be like a capital of Israel. You know, when he was talking about the embassy, so I felt that Yeah, but I felt that was so wrong on so many levels. So that was something I can share, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah.
The bad thing that Trump has done. So we're sort of talking about what has Trump done that we don't like, and we've come up with a few so far.
What things is done?
North Korea does have a mosque. Okay. It's based, well, not really. It's based in the Iranian embassy. But yeah, Iran has an embassy there, and they apparently have a mosque there, and it's likely built for the embassy staff, but foreigners are allowed to visit.
Is it illegal to be Muslim in North Korea?
No, apparently not. I mean, there's lots of Buddhists, there's Christians, there's...
So there we go, we're learning stuff as well tonight.
Is there not a law set up about what religion you can have in North Korea?
No, not from what I can see. But there seem to be quite a few Roman Catholic churches and other churches from the looks of it. 60 Buddhist temples.
Wow. Okay, so the stuff we didn't know about North Korea, that it's got a multi-faith population.
Just say one thing you were saying there about what Donald Trump has done. I think in a nutshell what he's done is he's cheapened politics because he's reduced politics to the laws and rules of business and cutthroat business and cutthroat capitalism, and he's taken those and he's tried to transpose those into politics, and politics is more important than that.
Okay.
And he's lowered politics because of that. I think that's
he's
it.
Kind of tried to say that business kind of trumps politics, so to speak.
He's got the perfect surname. He has got the perfect. Yeah.
Okay, give us a final thought before we go. Come on, have you been listening to what we've been saying?
Cheerio, not goodbye.
Come back.
Actually, it's a good point because recently, I guess, after again working for the company that I'm working for at the moment, and after living in London as well, I realized that in business, really, a lot of things are possible. Most things are possible as long as you're making money. Like companies like Facebook are not gonna care; they're gonna give you space to advertise. You can do so many things in business that are not necessarily justified. They're not good for environment, people, nature, whatever. But as long as you're making money, so many people are going to question. And that's in that sense, I agree with what you're saying, that you can't just say that business rules everything, because in business, there are very few, in that sense, moral things, like how many people are exploited and stuff.
So it's about how much money you're making in the end. Okay.
Businesses have legal duties to shareholders, and one of the legal duties is to maximise profits. So there's no legal duty to protect the environment, at least in terms of their duty to their shareholders, things like this, and I'm not sure that Trump. I think Trump's a symptom of this rather than being the disease. I think that he's showing something that existed before Trump, existed during Obama, Clinton, all of these, but W. Bush, all of these. Business runs the United States, and big money dictates politics. So, and this happens in this country too. We have huge lobbying organisations, companies that make lots of money from lobbying government, and they don't do it for the sheer fun of it. They know that they're going to get something out of it.
This has already polluted politics. It's much wider than Donald Trump, and in this country too.
Well, I mean, the pharmaceutical industry, the alcohol industry. There's so many different industries that will campaign in the States, particularly to keep cannabis criminalised, for example. Because to be frank, it just comes down to it's competition for them. So if somebody's smoking cannabis, they're less likely to be drinking alcohol. If they're smoking cannabis, they're less likely to need opioids. And, you know, there's lots of good and they're doing it for commercial reasons. This is not because they're being, you know, nasty and horrible to people. They want to maximise their profits.
Yeah, I mean, how do we get out of this situation? Is there a way? Is this just how the world is?
I think certain things are going to happen in the next. I mean, people have been saying this for 2,000 years. Certain things are going to happen in the next 20 years. Well, watch my words. But I mean, the green issue and climate change can't be ignored much longer, I don't think. Especially just for the hot summer we had this year, whilst there were fires in Greece, there were fires in California, there were fires in Canada, and these sort of things are reaching a point where the public are now becoming intrinsically aware of them, and they realise they're all part of the same picture. And I think the climate change thing necessarily contradicts the idea of economic and financial growth fundamentally, which we've had since the Industrial Revolution for 400 years. That growth is good. And climate change absolutely contradicts that. And the more the public become aware of that, the more there's going to be a questioning of this Trump idea that growth is good, that you have to, business has to, every quarter has to profit more. The social, green and cultural aspects will become more and more important because people ask those questions, and I think that's going to be the rest of our lives. Those questions becoming more and more prevalent.
Okay, so the environmental catastrophe unfolding will be the end of this kind of capitalism.
I don't think it will, because the people that will be affected by the catastrophic effects of climate change are poorer people. Simple as that, and it won't affect.
Yeah, but they have a vote.
They may have a vote, but they don't have any money.
Okay.
And what happens in this country, people that are poorer tend not to use their vote, even if they have a vote.
Okay. Hang on, we got Bob is back again.
Lorna's going back.
So our question at the moment is actually we've decided Trump is a manifestation of business overriding politics. And actually, that's detrimental not just in America, but everywhere.
If Mickey Mouse was up for election as well, he probably would have had some strong votes. You know, I think he didn't. You know, Hillary Clinton wasn't quite the sort of public figure that he was. I think it was important for him that he was someone who was known on television for being the boss or whatever.
Yeah. But what Jed is saying is the only way out of this kind of business determining how we make our decisions as a world is going to be the environmental catastrophe.
Al Gore called his film an inconvenient truth, and that's what it is. It's an inconvenient truth, and it's the word isn't truth. The important word is inconvenient, because it doesn't fit with the meta narrative we've been told for 300, 400 years, or the industrial meta narrative.
We've got a new face to take. What's your name?
Hi there, Christopher.
Christopher, we have got Bob, we have got Rick, we've got Akbar, we've got Victoria, we've got Maureen and Paul, and we've got Naz, and we've got Jed, and we've got Sheila and Mikey at the moment. We started talking about Donald Trump, and we went on a whole long thing of does God exist, etc., etc. And then we came back to Trump and the suffering of Donald Trump. And then we sort of decided that Donald Trump is just a manifestation of business ruling politics.
Are people thinking that Trump is the reason why environmentalism is going badly or whatever? Because that's definitely it's
more that what Jed is saying is that the unfolding environmental catastrophe is going to be the only thing that makes people realise that you can't just keep growing and growing and have business dictating everything, because you're going to run out of air, you're going to run out of resources. Am I right?
Resources, yeah. You're going to run out of the ability to do it. That's the way people are saying the next 100 years is going to be done. It's how it's going to pan out. You're going to run out of the ability to do the life that we've got used to over the last 100 years. That's what people are saying.
What happens next?
We'll just run out of money as well, though. I mean, we'll run out of money because there'll be a situation where the rich are so rich and the poor are so poor that no one's able to buy anything anymore, apart from the very rich. And so how do you make more money when there's no one to buy the stuff anymore, kind of thing.
Exactly. So, Christopher, basically, we're talking about are we kind of like, you know, crashing into the hillside here as a species, as a planet?
Are you talking about food?
No, anything, whatever people make their money out of. You know, there's people not going to be able to afford it, so they're going to go.
See what Rick's saying is, if all the money goes to the rich people and only rich people have got money, then all those poor people are going to not be able to do anything, not going to function.
The poor have labour. The poor will have labour.
With artificial intelligence, will they have labour in the developed Western society? We're preying on Africa to save us for that they'll have labour, but there's a trickle down, a trickle up effect of if you rely on the labour philosophy, that it will always ratchet up. And what will happen after Africa? What, we're going to employ penguins?
No. We discussed this earlier. It was going to be the United States. So, because they're going to make their population so poor.
Well, I mean, you know, what happens to the world when the rich have got all the money and they've also got robots to do the work for them? What is going to happen?
In a way, I guess the poor would then create their own system, I guess, of you know, their own. They will. No, because they're not going to. I mean, there's going to be a situation where they'll have to create their own finances, they'll create their own.
It's what are we really asking? How soon is Mad Max? Is that what we're really asking? Well, maybe that will hurry it up.
Mad Max original or Mad Max the recent?
Maybe second Mad Max, I guess. That's a third one.
On your point of the rich getting rich and the poor getting poorer, wouldn't be that's the way things are going, and then the poor are poor, so they die off, and then the population goes down, and then the earth becomes steady again. Becomes steady again because, you know, it is really.
Global birth rates are going down. Wherever you are in the world, mostly the birth rate is dropping.
So the poor are just
in my house. It's not, mate. I've just had my first baby, and I tell you what, my birth rate has always been at 1 because I was born, but now I have plus a little bit because I have my first child. So our birth rate's increasing, and my best friend just said this to me. I've just come from a barbecue, so apologies for interrupting. But he said, "Do you think you'll have another child?" And I said, "Hell yeah! Like as soon as I've got my next bonus, then I'll be able to afford it." And no, it's a joke. Come on. I earn a huge amount of money, £37,500. I don't know if you know. No, I'm kidding. It's a. Yeah, I know. I thought I'd just come and mix it up a little bit, and Okay, so but to continue with my point, what was I talking about? No, I do remember. The birth rate. No. So my best friend. It's a very serious, very true point with a joke at the end. So you'll know where to laugh. I'll put my finger up like that. My best friend said to me, "Well, do you really want? We're in an overpopulated world. Do you really think you need to bring another child into that?" And I said, "Well, yes, because me and my wife are fucking phenomenal, and we've got great genes, and we're also put and much effort as we possibly could into being excellent parents today, and also having a great relationship. So this is a great situation for a child to come up in, and it will be a positive for the world and for her. And I think that's cool. And we are human beings, so we are supposed to procreate, but we're also supposed to do it in a responsible fashion. So where there isn't responsibility, holy fuck, you're opening up a can of worms. Sorry to swear, of where that could possibly go."
Well, okay, where's the punchline?
Do you know what? I got so wrapped up in my own point. I forgot my punchline. There's plenty more where it came from. I'll give you one for later. I'll save you one for later.
What's it going to look like that your child is coming into? Boy or girl? Okay, yeah.
So I have a girl, and the next one will be. I mean, you tell me. I don't know.
What's her name?
What the new one?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we don't know if it's a boy or girl yet. We've got one girl.
Yeah. What's her name?
Her name is Scarlett with one T. Because why do you need two?
So Scarlett, what is Scarlett's world going to look like in when she is our age? I pick any of these ages. What is that world going to look like? Is it going to be a Mad Max 2 sort of world? Is it going to be a Matrix kind of world?
Which year are you talking about? Because it's
20 years.
in 20 years. It won't be Mad Max in 20 years unless you're in the San Pedro Desert in Atacama, because that already looks like Mars. It's where they filmed Return of the Jedi. I recently went there and it's got amazing star quality gazing opportunities. If you haven't been, I thoroughly recommend it.
With sci-fi films is that sci-fi films often try to go too dystopian, or they go a bit too far. Well, the reality is that in 20 years' time, things will probably look relatively similar, but there'll be more flats, there'll be more housing, things will be more crowded, and there'll be less resources.
Okay, I'm going to go around, Christopher, Bob, I'm going to go around the table on this. We want to envision what Scarlett's world is going to be like in 20 years' time.
Okay, this for them, thank you.
Yeah, go back when you said the bull dying, people dying for because then rich coming rich and bull is coming bull. You can survive the way. It's not your time's up. You're not dying. We can grow our own food. We can survive.
Bull won't die off.
Not dying. A bull would have died a long time ago if they're dying. How many bull is there?
Okay, if the bull were going to die, it would have died off.
When your time's up, your time is up. Rich or bull, it doesn't mean to do. You have not feeling suffering little bit, but you be surviving if your time up.
Nasha, what about the point about whether what this world is going to look like in 20 years' time? Is it going to be environmentally trashed? Yeah. Is it going to be very, very rich people and very, very poor people?
He can.
It's just going to be more flats.
Listen, he can get better or he can get worse. It is whatever he is.
Yeah. It's not being bad.
Listen, you cannot take life.
The final thought is, chill out, mate. My final thought is, chill out, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much.
I know.
Things can always change. What we discovered is before Moses came down from the mount, this is an earlier conversation, adultery was just fine, and then it was only the guy, no one realised it was a bad thing.
I'm against adultery, but I do believe in nights off.
Was he really here, or did I just imagine him for 10 minutes? Okay, right, yeah.
Say it was a mirage or a farage?
You were saying about 20 years' time, I think it'd be more like Terminator. Yeah. The artificial intelligence would have taken over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we need that.
Maybe I'm from the future right now, and in the future we will have the child that will save the world. No, this is so weird. Look out in case anyone dies who has your name.
Maybe that child is Scarlett. Yeah.
Talking about 20 years' time.
Yeah.
I think in 20 years' time, the apocalyptic vision that it's all going to end and it's all going to be Mad Max is already in our mind now. And I think that now it's in our mind, there are enough people today who will try to avoid that happening. Because we've already got the idea of apocalypse from Terminator and Mad Max and God knows how many other films. We've got that idea that the world's going to inevitably end like that. I think there are enough people today who are now being aware of it arising to sort of avoid it just before it's too late.
No,
you don't think it's true?
Disasters that are happening are going to help towards that. To be honest, the people panic. As a whole, people panic. When something happens, that's it. They won't see the rational thought. They'll just want to survive.
Okay. All right.
I think 20 years' time, to be honest, I think life's going to be a bit better, a little bit easier. Yeah, for most people. I think I'll have a more comfortable life, and I think
more comfortable than it already is.
I think I'll maybe won't be working quite so much.
Are you talking about your pension?
Well, no, I'm going to be all right when it comes to money, but I just won't be working so much. I'll be enjoying nature and whatnot, what's left of it. And it may be that I'll go on holiday to Greenland rather than to Austria, because maybe that's maybe where we're all going to end up going, because it's going to be a bit too hot up down in Austria and Germany.
I can't tell if you're kidding or not. I know what you're really saying is that you feel confident that your future is comfortable, and if that's the case, I suppose fair enough. But on another level, it almost seems insulting to everyone and everything else.
Why?
Well, because obviously everything else is going to get way more shit for everybody else, and you seem to be saying, well, everything's okay because I'm just living this lifespan for this long.
I fully intend to live till I'm about 90. That's my intention.
Yeah, okay.
And I think my life right up until that point will be fairly comfortable. So that's, 45 years or so.
That's why he say he make his money and he can be comfortable. If you not make your money, you're not comfortable.
Okay.
Even if we don't make enough money to be
That's fair enough. Rick, where do you see yourself in, or see the world in 20 years' time?
I think boringly it'll just be a bit more advanced than now, and it'll just be everyone be doing. It's just going to be technology is going to move on a bit. 20 years.
What system will it be?
Oh, God knows. Exactly. It'll be something boring, and it'll just be like the latest thing, and everyone will be wanting the latest. Even if they use iPhones, who knows? Yeah, pistachio. Yeah, exactly. It'll be something like that. Who knows? It'll be It'll boringly be just a bit more.
Sorry, I was just trying to say that I think it's interesting. You think it will be advanced, more advanced.
Well, technology-wise, it'll be a little bit more advanced, but it won't progress as quickly as because everyone thinks it'll progress quicker than it ever does, and things like it'll take a bit slower, but it'll just boringly be there'll be more people.
Years ago, what did we have? We had mobile phones 20 years ago. We had computers 20 years ago. We had 5 channels 20 years ago.
I can only think about now, and I'm, I've lost. So I want to live this moment, and make the most of it every day. And this is brilliant, but I want to make the most of every minute now. I can't think about 20 years.
Of course, Will it be the same in 20 years? Do you think?
No.
Will you still be living for now, though, in that sense?
Yeah, I hope so.
It'll be more different in 20 years' time from now than it was 20 years ago, because I think it's going like that. It's not just going like that. I think it's going like that. God knows what it'll be. I mean, I think if you ask the main sort of people who talk about this stuff, philosophers today, they think the main problem of the world today is overpopulation. And that's the main thing we're going to, even more than climate change. They think that's the main thing we're going to have to deal with, because that's not spread everywhere. Cities are going to grow, like Sao Paulo, London, all these huge cities, Los Angeles. They're going to grow, and it's going to cause real trouble within them. And that doesn't get spread across; it just gets concentrated in cities, getting more. So what's the word? Overpopulation, whatever. That's going to be a real problem with everybody.
So there's going to be these huge mega cities, like in 2000, the comic strip 2000 AD.
There's lots of places in the world that are really crowded, but seem to work very functionally. Tokyo, Kyoto, those places.
Japan has more of a problem with overpopulation than anyone else. They literally cannot breed at this point, right?
No, I mean, I was there a few months ago, and it seemed like there's loads of countryside.
I think the actual rate.
Let's find out.
I mean, their birth rate is significantly lower than most countries, because people aren't just not having children. And their population is going down around about 750,000 annually. So it's going down right now. But our the UK is very similar in so many ways, in that our birth rate, indigenous birth rate, so women born in this country, their birth rate is 1.3, which is lower than Japan's. If you take then when you add in women born out of this country, outside of this country, that birth rate goes up to 1.79.
Right.
Which is still fairly low. So more than 29% of all children born in this country are born to women that were born outside of this country.
Or born from outside?
Yeah. So.
No, they're born in this country, but their mother is from another country.
That clearly doesn't matter though, right?
No, it has an influence in that basically what it means is that if we limit immigration or whatever of these things that we do, we will ultimately end up with a very, very low birth rate. Okay. Which is similar in most developed countries. Germany has a very low birth rate. Hungary has a very low birth rate. Most of Eastern Europe has.
Do we want more people? Do we want less people? Do we want more young people? Less older people?
We are just, for some reason, whatever the reason is, there are fewer people being. The birth rate is going down. It's
What about the population?
The population is still going up. But that's only because there are some countries where the birth rate is over 2. But not as many as there used to be. So India's birth rate has gone from about 8 in the last 15, 20 years to about 2.5.
Right.
So
It's going out. It's not going down.
It's going down.
Yeah.
So what you're saying essentially is birth rates are going down everywhere.
Yeah.
And in the richer countries, they're going down more.
Yeah, populations will go down further.
Okay, so, I mean, is this...
Japan's going to lose 30 million people in the next 20 years.
Okay, that's a lot of people to lose. Okay, so where are we going with this? Like, are we... we're all talking about this overpopulation. Is it just going to be just huge mega cities of old people's homes? With just 1 or 2 people, like Scarlett, the arguably fortunate daughter of Christopher, kind of like maintaining a massive factory of old people. That's going to be us.
I mean, the common narrative is that for want of a better phrase, the first world population is stabilising, going down. The third world is growing up. Is that not true?
No. Virtually every country in the world, the birth rate is going down. There are a few countries where there are conflicts where birth rates are going up, but not very many. But then the conflict tends to control the population.
So you're saying that conflict creates more births?
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
when there's a war on.
Yeah. And because their kids are dying, people are dying around them. But the population. Yeah, possibly. But the population is moderated by homicide.
During wars, there's more sex.
Well, there's more after wars there are. Okay, Ash just got the microphone.
What you're saying is more. It's getting less. It's not getting less, because we don't know what we were doing 20 years ago. But our kids having their kids.
Yeah.
The way he said, I agree with him. The immigration should be shut down, because you cannot even control what you got now. Don't bring in more.
So do you think there's too many people in this country? Is that what you're saying?
It's too much people, but it's the more human. What I say to you, the people, English people, and kids born English here, born in here, they're not having a title the other immigrant people have it there. I got 29 years old, and 28 years live with me, and they're born in England. Yeah. They're not having a housing or anything, because
there's too many people.
Because there's too much people. Shut down just don't go the other country. If you have nothing to do with your fight or anybody, don't sort out anything else. Sort out what you got there. Okay. And shut down the priority things. No, you cannot even manage the people, kids born here. They cannot even have their own places, and they can't live with their parents how long?
Okay. So have we got too many people in this country? Are we running out?
The only reason this country has the population it has is because of immigration. Otherwise, we would have been losing people. We would have actually reduced our immigrations.
How many people do we?
People born in this country don't have kids. On the whole, very few kids.
So do we want a country full of people, or do we want an empty country? That's the question.
We need people. Otherwise, you have no consumers.
Okay, well, let's go around the table. Do we want less people or more people?
The reason why we have the country that we have is because of immigration.
The population.
The population we have currently.
But I mean, the question is really, Bob.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It's because it's so small, or it's so large, or it's so what?
It's only growing because of immigration. Otherwise, it would be diminishing.
Okay, I mean, but the question is, do we want a country that's getting more and more people? Or do we want less and less people?
Less than people, control what you got.
People come to this country is because it's prosperous. You don't go to.
Also seeking asylum.
There's not that many.
But I mean, can I just ask all these people that you're all residents of this country? Would you like a country that's growing in population, shrinking in population, or about the same?
I couldn't give a shit. I just hope that governments and clearly people who know what the fuck they're doing make the right decisions. But at the same time, by no means would I condemn anyone to not enter this country for some specific reason. I mean, good Lord, it looks bad enough as it is. I don't think it could get any worse. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's just we're only alive for a little while. I think just get them all in. Fuck it.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Should we be encouraging and welcoming people into this country?
Oh, sure.
Despite the numbers?
Encourage everyone.
I think.
You know, what do you want in Europe?
Yeah. I think the problem with immigration over the past 30 years is it's been determined by free market. It's been so a lot of people from other countries have come into areas where they're going to get an immediate job. Like a lot of Polish people have come into Lincolnshire. Lincolnshire isn't prepared for that. Yeah. So I mean, I think what it needs is that I think the heat needs to be taken off London. London is, I mean, essential workers can't afford to live in London anymore. All that problem, I think the heat needs to be taken off. If someone from the north.
What are they prepared for? Is it the cheap? Hang on.
Wait, give us a second, mate. I think that London is, it's boiling.
Right. So
from the inability to spread it to the rest of the country.
Right.
And when immigrants come to the rest of the country, it's either them or us. Yeah. And it's not like London, which is a complete cauldron of multicultural brilliance. I love London. It's absolutely brilliant for that. But I think it might have reached its limits at the moment. And all this sort of stuff needs to be spread around a bit. Yeah. Not to the point where we concrete over all of Britain, because there are beautiful places all around England. But, I mean, it needs to, something needs to be done by government, and the free market isn't going to do that, because free market is going to determine that everyone comes to London, because that's where all the money is. Yeah. Something needs to be done where we can spread the people coming into this country and spread it out in a more egalitarian, more equal way, and just to take the pressure off London, to stop areas feeling that they're isolated. Yeah. Just it needs to be more Britain and less London.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's just spread this around a little bit. I'm going to come to you in a second. Well, look, Naz, what do you think about this? Too many people, not enough people, welcome people, control it? Any views on it?
I don't think it should be controlled, but like this country has a reputation of welcoming people who are in trouble and helping people. So in that aspect, I feel like we've done well on that, and just the population that comes in. It's good for our trading and everything and our relationships with other groups. Yeah, definitely, because we're a little island. Yeah. You know, everything benefits.
Okay.
I'm not saying somebody in trouble or country in trouble get help. They need to get help.
Yeah.
But what you cannot help your own one is born in here and live here. And you put in more, you cannot even control more other Problem you cannot even control. They cannot even control this here now. Putting more into control.
Yeah. So you're saying control it more?
Control more. Give them. The kids born here, Chinese, and the people work born in England. It's not even me. Chinese to have their life. Yeah. If you helping the other people, help people, but don't interfere in it. Yeah. Because English people, they're doing it. They go countries, nothing to do with them, killing each other, and they go involved with each other. They bring more problem for there.
So in a way, part of this is the British going to all these other countries
it's
and
nothing to do with them. The people
making trouble.
If they want to kill each other, try to help with them, but don't bring them more in trouble. And bring in your own doorstep in problem where you cannot control your own one.
Okay, so focus more on the inside. Hang on a sec, guys. This is like a mini Talkaoke going on. I'm just going to go around. It might be time to get final thoughts because I feel this is fraying at the end. And then that point afterwards, you can carry on this discussion. But I'm just going around the table. More people, less people.
I think more people is good for competition because competition can help to create a better service, product. The simple example is, let's say, culture-wise, like quality, for example, films can potentially be better if there are more competition. People are trying harder, which so that can be a good thing. I mean, obviously, just a lot of people doesn't necessarily equal high quality service, not at all, but it can help that.
Yeah.
So the more people, but I think it's just to do like you mentioned with prosperous, like it has to be kind of a lot of people, but in a prosperous country in a way, like so the structure of the society has to be kind of thought of in first place.
We need to be a bit more strategic about how this immigration happens. Hang on a sec, Bob, because we're going to do final thoughts in a second. Hang on to your cigarette. We're just doing the more people, less people thing. We've kind of almost gone all the way around to that. We started with you. We've just got Akbal and Rick, and then we're going to do final thoughts, and then it's going to be over, and you can talk amongst yourselves.
So. My feeling, there's this thing. I mean, it was Asha. Yeah. She mentions that her children don't have the opportunities that foreigners have, and I'm just thinking I don't think that's true, because foreigners come into a country and generally do quite well. They work hard. They get fewer opportunities on the whole, but they manage to create opportunities. And I don't understand how you can say that because you've got other people coming in, there's a reduction in opportunity. If they can find an opportunity, somebody born here with the language and with all of these other skills, naturally here, and an education from here, why have they not got the same level or better opportunity? Yeah. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned...
You were saying earlier on that your designer friend felt that there was something about skin colour.
Yeah, I suspect that there's a lot of this.
So it might be that if you've got white people going for a job, even if they're foreigners, following on from your friend's idea, maybe they are getting selected over British people that are...
Possibly.